Welcome to Obstacle Running Adventures,
the podcast that fuels your passion for obstacle course racing,
running, and all things adventurous.
Whether you're a seasoned pro or a weekend warrior,
we've got news updates as well as interviews with athletes
and other key members of our athletic community.
As a weekly show since 2017, we have covered everything from
championship and virtual races
to fundraising events and FKTs. And now, here are your hosts,
Michael Stefano and Katelyn Ritter.
Standing on the corner, lost all my clothes.
Hey guys, it's Michael Stefano.
And Katelyn Ritter, and happy Wednesday.
Yeah.
Oh, are we not drawing attention to that?
I know. This is, I think, the 7th ever Wednesday release. Is our printer falling over? What's happening there?
Our printer is falling over, probably because Appa just, gets anywhere he can in this room.
Sounds about right. But yeah, it's Wednesday release because we were going a certain direction with the Spartan payout issue thing. And then,
but we're flexible.
We're flexible, and Katelyn found a guest that I was very excited to have on the show, but we'll get to that in a bit. But yes, it is Wednesday, and it's been a hell of a couple weeks.
'Cause, baby, I'm a mastermind.
Sure. Let's give a shout out to our sponsors.
Shout out Mudgear. Use code ADVENTURE for 15% off your next Mudgear purchase. And Caterpie, use code OCR Report 20 for 20% off your next Caterpie purchase. And if you are signing up for your next Spartan, Deca, or Tough Mudder, use code OCR Report 20 for 20% off your next event.
Yeah.
Not good for World's Toughest Mudder, though.
No, it is not.
You'll hear in this interview me talk about World's Toughest Mudder 2026.
Yes.
I'm not signed up for anything, but it's definitely in my brain.
Love it. And let's give a shout out to our Patreon supporters.
Jason Dupree, Samantha Thompson, Bradley Keel, Charlotte Engelman, Aaron
Hold
Grant.
up. It's the first episode of the month. So we're going to thank the $3+ Patreon supporters. My bad. All right, take it from the top.
From the bottom.
From the bottom.
Jason Dupree, Samantha Thompson, Matt Putton, Bradley Keel, Charlotte Engelman, Aaron Grindstaff, Lauren Stephen Ritter, Hank and Arlene Stefano, Cheryl Miller, Jessica Johnson, Christopher Hoover, Kevin Gregory Jr., Evan Irick, Brent Ashley Rice, Brent George, Metal Addict, a.k.a. Justin Manning, Angela Bowers, Logan Nagel, Asa Coddington, Thomas Peterson, Seth Renderkanesh, Steve Bacon, Robert Landman, and Julianne Perkins Estes.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for the support. We greatly appreciate it. And to the OCR Report for being a great home for us on the internet.
And to Will Hicks,
the Podfather. Check it out over at theocrreport.com. Currently in the group text, they're planning their trip to Hvar, and I'm just a little bit jealous.
Croatia is beautiful.
I know, you've been as well. And a shout out to our sponsored athletes.
Javier Escobar, Kelly Sullivan,
who took 3rd place at Rally at the Valley.
Ryan Brizolara,
Joshua Reed,
Kevin Gregory, who he also did well at Rally in the Valley.
Awesome. I believe it. He is an animal. Poll results. Did we do a poll this week? I don't remember.
I don't think so, but I
had a couple ideas for polls, and I keep forgetting to post them.
I have a me.
Okay. So meme of the week. Katelyn has it, which means I have to describe it. We'll pick one, and I'll
do you want next week. Death or space?
We'll go death. Because, again, it's been a couple weeks. Okay. So, wait, am I supposed to scroll? Oh, no, it's just this.
It's just that.
Okay.
Is that not a meme?
Oh, I get it now. Okay, that's pretty good. So, it is a man, I presume. Although I shouldn't presume. He's hairless.
There's no nipples.
Men and women both have nipples, so that doesn't help.
No, I know.
One way or the other. It's a man, I think. Anyone could wear blue shorts. It is a human being wearing blue shorts.
With no nipples.
In anguish, because they are squatting with a casket overhead, and up above that it says deadlifting. I like that. That's actually pretty funny. That's perfect for this episode too, because they might have done deadlifting.
You'll have to listen to the episode and find out.
I will. To be honest, I listened to the first 40 minutes, and I'm like, this hasn't needed much editing. I'm looking forward to listening to it, but I'll listen to it once it's up.
So you can listen to it on 1.5 speed because we talk for.
Well, I'm looking forward to listening to it, but it was just a lot of multitasking because it's been a couple weeks. Let's head on over to quick news, starting with this, which I thought was like an April Fool's thing because it just screams April Fool's thing.
Oh, Tough Mudder partnered with In-N-Out Burger for an exclusive obstacles.
Kind of. So this 100% looks fake.
So it's a cargo neck.
It's called...
they're climbing down.
Yeah, it's called Potato Sack... And this event might have already happened by now. Probably. Potato Sack Trap. And it's...
That's amazing.
It's like it's like the background, I guess, underneath them. Oh, no, or maybe the net itself says In-N-Out Potatoes. Very funny. And then this one.
Ew. It's a rig, and it's called Meat Hooks.
Yep. So it's basically just... oh, God. Swings both ways, I think. Right? Yes.
Yes, and on it says, I didn't realize it said something, we accept only quality.
Yeah. And then
Mutterhorn
just has like the big banners on it.
Oh,
which
okay.
Is
The
fun.
In-N-Out Burger logos.
Yeah. So I just thought that was like a really interesting.
Have you had In-N-Out Burger?
I must have. I read something about them, and I'm not sure if it's true or not. So I don't know if I'm like a supporter of them. But you know me, I love trying new like weird fast food places.
I don't know.
I've had Jack in the Box.
Oh.
I had something in Texas. I don't remember what that was.
Your favorite though is
not sober. My favorite? Are you making fun of me because White Castle is disgusting?
Yes.
Yeah. Hot trash, guys. I haven't even seen the movies, but I'm like, they make a movie over it,
You
right?
tried to convince my whole family to go to White Castle with you, and we're all like, no, Mike, you go.
Yeah, now I know why no one else was enthused. This next news story is also a little dated here, but I saw this awesome obstacle called Skate Limpus, and it's a Limpus, but it has the handholds, it has the holes in it, but instead of chains, it has skateboards.
Oh, that's cool. And then
also, that's the Tony Hawk board, too.
Did you see that all the holds are little skeletons?
Oh, very cool. And this was put on by this is an obstacle for the Project Mayhem Racing, which I talked to the race director. It's the same guy who's in charge of the OCR directory. And I wanted to, hopefully have him on to talk about his race, but it happened already and things are busy. So hopefully we'll go and cover it or something next year. It's by Philadelphia, I believe. So, but congratulations for him putting on a successful first event. It had like Logan Broadbent and some cool athletes there too.
That's super cool.
Yeah, love Logan. You found this next news story?
Some sad news. Lauren Weeks posted, the purest bond I'll ever know. In the last 13 years, we've called 12 different places home, but not once did I ever imagine those homes without you. I can't, if I read this whole thing, I will cry
again.
But that ends with last week, I lost my best friend. Heartbroken doesn't even come close. My sassy, smart, stubborn, and impossibly sweet Willow. I love you. And I think Willow is a golden.
I love that name. I think I've known another golden by the name of Willow. Yeah. So, very sad to hear that. And best wishes to Lauren and her family as they get over that loss. This post caught my eye.
A New Jersey native is ready to climb Mount Kilimanjaro in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So this was posted August 25th. It says this could be happening in 13 days.
And if you'd like to follow his journey, you can follow him on Instagram with myimpossible_MK.
Yeah, that sounds pretty awesome.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. In our last news story, which I'm surprised you didn't put this in here, but you posted in the OCR report.
The first ever New York City bakery run is coming, and it's 13.1 miles and 8 bakeries.
Yeah, this is what I want in my life.
It says it's giving carb loading a whole new meaning.
Yeah, body reflects that right now, but like eating and running, ooh yeah, that sounds amazing.
I was just talking to my coworker about why I think I love ultra running. Granted, I've only ever done one ultra, but it's like you can go slow and eat snacks.
Yeah, it's an adventure. That's what I love about it. Secret link, there's 5 of them down below, so go and check those out. But let's finally get to what this episode is all about. So we first met AJ Golik when we were taking on our first Deca and covered the event at Underdog Fitness last year. And more recently, we saw him at Beaver Castle when he took on World's Toughest Mudder as a team with Kevin Gregory. So Katelyn looked into the event. That was Rally in the Valley. Yes. And saw that AJ took 5th and reached out to him to come on the show. So what can you say about the episode interview?
We start off talking about some World's Toughest Mudder, and then we get into Rally in the Valley, and he talks us through all the obstacles, what the experience is like. Rally in the Valley isn't just like the events, but they host like a whole weekend of events. So it's more about like obviously competing, but the community as well. And then we end with some manifestations and
harmonica talk.
Harmonica talk.
I heard a little bit of the harmonica talk.
I should have pulled out my harmonica to show him how terrible I truly am.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it was a great conversation. I was expecting like an hour conversation, and I was on Zoom for 2.5 hours, I think it was.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I was stranded at the tire place because my tires were falling off.
You're fine.
I know. I am fine. I had to Uber back. It's been a week. But let's get to the interview with AJ.
Let's start with your name and where you're from.
My name is Alexander Golik, and I am from Long Island, New York.
Oh my gosh, I didn't realize that. So do you currently live in Connecticut?
No, I live on Long Island. It's kind of a hoax in a way. I think a lot of people think I'm in Connecticut because of how close I am with Underdog, but I'm on Long Island.
Okay, so can you take like the ferry to like New Haven or New London? Is that how you get?
So I could take the ferry over to Bridgeport, but I get extremely boat sick. So I just drive around every time.
Oh my gosh, that is very brave of you. That Long Island drive like scares me, so I try to avoid it at all costs.
I wish I could avoid it. I really do.
That's fair. I can't get over that. All this time I thought you lived like 10 minutes down the road from Underdog. So
I wish. Hopefully someday soon, honestly. Somewhere up there, because that's where everything is. It's where all my friends are. It's where I am seemingly most of the time. So I would love to get up there.
That's crazy to me. But wow. First question. You already knocked me off my feet. How did you first get involved with either hybrid fitness or OCR? Did one come first?
They kind of came simultaneously, but I would say my first actual event was an obstacle course race. It was 2022 timeframe. I jumped into Citizens Bank Park Stadium, and that was my introduction to OCR. And very shortly after that, I did my first Deca Strong.
Okay.
So I think they were maybe a month apart or a couple weeks apart. So OCR did come first, but Deca was very shortly after. And then I simultaneously dove down both paths and just jumped into like Vernon and Palmerton and Killington, and then did my Deca Strongs and miles like at Underdog. And that was also kind of the origin of how I got into the Underdog space. Was I did a Deca Strong. It was at a roadshow on Long Island. There's no Deca affiliates here. So that was like rare, apparently. Well, I know now that it was rare. So I did my Deca Strong here. It was actually at Kevin LaPlatney's old gym, Obstacle Athletics. And then the following month, same thing like everybody else. I was racing and was like, oh, what's next? What can I find around here? So found the Deca Mile that Kevin and Jess were hosting, but I did not know them. And I just drove up there at random, and I was some random stranger that showed up at their Deca Mile, and that just was kind of the gateway to here. So it all happened by very good luck, but very grateful for it.
That's incredible. And so I didn't realize that your journey isn't even that long. Like you've only recently started in 2020. And I mean, this is a podcast, so people can't see, but like the awards and the podiums behind you, like ridiculous that it's only been 3 years. Did you have a background in fitness before you started OCR and hybrid racing?
No, not in fitness specifically. I played team sports growing up and then pursued lacrosse through college, which got cut short because of the pandemic. So after that, similarly to, I feel like a lot of people in and around my age that were competing in college athletics or looking for something to be competitive in, either post graduation or just in general, I started to get into fitness after that. And my first outlet was like your traditional, like gym bro kind of situation, just like going and lifting weights and everyday gym. And then I found CrossFit, and I trained primarily CrossFit for almost 2 years.
Oh, wow.
And that was 2020 to 2022. And then started to find the OCR and the hybrid stuff, which is also where my training shifted into that demand. So my fitness lifespan is very short. My competition lifespan is very short. So still very new, I guess, in the grand scheme of things, but it's been quite a roller coaster ever since I found Underdog, honestly.
Right. So it's like still pretty, not new, but like like, you know, the memes that's just like, I'm just a baby. Like you're in like you're in like that stage, but like your output is so much higher than like what a typical like just a baby would be doing in the world of OCR and hybrid sports.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, even this weekend, I stayed in a house with Kevin, Joe, Kelly, Alana, and I, of course, got a few of the "you're really young, you're a child" jokes, which is kind of inevitable. But yeah, I would say it still is fresh to a certain extent. I mean, I feel like I've been in it because I've been very invested in it the last 3 years. It doesn't feel brand new to me, but at the same time, I think I still do kind of have that like honeymoon phase situation where like I'm just excited to compete, which is another reason why I think I find myself doing seemingly anything, because I don't know which is like my route yet or which is my preferred path. So it's like, sure, I'll go do World's Toughest Mudder and I'll jump into rally, or I'll go and compete in Deca and High Rocks, and it's like still just kind of random because I'm just enjoying it and having fun.
Do you have like a favorite distance or like a favorite, maybe it's like houred, like you've done decas, but you've also done these 24 hours or multi-day events. Like, is there something you prefer or just happy to be there?
It's overall just happy to be here, but I would say High Rocks has become my favorite discipline, and I guess time domain as well. Like that hour-ish time frame I think is suited well for me currently where like my fitness is. I will not lie, and I've said it to Joe, and I wholeheartedly blame him. So when he listens to this, he's going to hear it too. I really do enjoy the ultras. So doing Toughest Atlanta I did the Vernon Ultra 2024.
Okay.
Thought not like, didn't really carry that much weight. Like I did it because I wanted to do it and I wanted to like check that off the box. Did not race an ultra until the following year, which was Atlanta Toughest. And after that, I was kind of hooked. Like might have caught the ultra bug a little bit. So then somehow found myself at World's Toughest Mudder, and Joe and I are supposed to run an 100-miler in October,
awesome.
actually, so soon. So I am enjoying that too. So because they're so opposite ends of the spectrum, I guess the answer is just happy to be here.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And I like that attitude. Like, I feel like that's how I am. I'm not good at any of the events like you are, but I'm like, I'm just happy to like show up and see what I can do. And
you crushed World's Toughest Mudder.
No, thank you. I don't think so, but thank you.
You definitely did. You went in with a goal and you exceeded that goal by like an astronomical amount. So that's awesome.
That is very kind of you to say. Thank you. But we're not here to talk about me. We're here to talk about you. So you ran World's Toughest Mudder. You crossed the pond, as they say. What inspired you to like go out there and do a 24-hour race?
So World's Toughest Mudder has definitely been something I've watched happen the last few years, just being ingrained in the OCR hybrid space, following like you guys and Hybrid Fitness Media and just the outlets and stuff. It's been something I've seen and have always been fascinated by. And then growing closer to Joe as a friend, and obviously that being his primary focus the last couple of years, and seeing him just dominate and do amazing in the ultra and the OCR ultra scene, of course, is inspiring. And going to World's Toughest Mudder this year, the original plan, like the foundation plan many, many months ago, was to go and pit for Joe.
Okay.
So it was going to be me, Kevin, Jess. We were just going to go with him, take it as a trip and pit and just be in support, because unfortunately, like Lindsay wasn't able to go because she's pregnant. And also that they have Anthony, who's not even 3 yet. So to cross the pond with a pregnant lady and a small child is not easy. So we were going to be his like support crew. And that slowly evolved over time. And then I did Atlanta Toughest and was very interested and intrigued by potentially competing at World's Toughest Mudder. So the thoughts of potentially going in as an individual were there at first. And then obviously, Kev, and he's willing to race almost anything, but also if it's in a teams format, that's like his bread and butter. So he was like, I would race it, but if it's teams. So we just kind of threw it together. We signed up and we jumped into teams. I would say somewhat last minute, like maybe 2 months before World's Toughest Mudder, we like decided we were going to actually compete. So a little bit of like spontaneously just happened to be there because it was in the cards and it was a plan originally to be like in England and across the pond. And then it just like evolved to be competing.
No, and that makes sense because I always wondered how did that happen? Because like Kevin can perform at a high level. I know you can perform at such a high level. Like what was the oh, we should do this together and see what we can do. So that's definitely fascinating. What was it like watching Joe like just dominate the course?
I just immediately got chills when you said that. It was one of the coolest experiences as a spectator and as a friend, because I mean, just to watch in general, I think all the people who were tuned in to World's Toughest Mudder that weekend were pretty in awe of his performance and how much of a gap he created early and just his consistency lap to lap and mile after mile. So I think people in the OCR space and that were watching World's Toughest Mudder were definitely appreciative of that performance. But from my perspective, Joe and I grew very close probably around the October, November timeline before DECA Worlds.
Okay.
And then from there, it was like seeing inside of his brain. So our conversations day to day, seeing his training, seeing how many hours he puts in and just all of the inner workings and his lifestyle and how detail oriented he is and dedicated. And then to watch it all just like transpire in real time was breathtaking. And then to be able to go out with him on that last lap was probably so far a top 3 moment for me this year. Like just overall with all the events that we've done and competed in throughout the year, like that's something that's going to definitely like stick with me forever. Like just crossing walking through the start chute and everybody's cheering and they're like, one more lap. And like, it's just me, Joe and Kev walking out there. Like, that's a memory I'll never forget. And we just, I mean, obviously from the live stream, I think a lot of people saw, like, we just walked the whole time, just talked, like, and just enjoyed the final lap after almost 25 hours of World's Toughest Mudder. So it was so incredible.
Yeah, no. And watching it, did he lap you at all? Like, were you able to? No. So I almost caught him at one point. So I think it was around 3 a.m. There's a video that Jess took, and it's of Joe and Kevin leaving the start chute together on a lap. Like Joe was in the pit area, and I came in to hand off to Kev, and they go out, and I come through like the pit area, and I say to Jess, like, oh, like 2 more minutes, and I would have caught him, and he would have been toast, like just messing with them. So I didn't see him on course at all for the entirety of the event. But as we started to near the cutoff mark, we, as like a collective, both Jess, Anka, and Kev and I were kind of all on the same page of, there were kind of 2 scenarios. It was either Kevin and I were going to wait, like not go back out for a lap and just wait for Joe to come in, depending on what the timing looked like, or we were going to run one more lap and try to essentially meet up with him to then go out for the last lap. So we had that in our minds that pretty much Kevin and I were going to stop our race when the opportunity presented to go out with him for that last lap. Because kind of as the race developed and he continued to grow his lead, of course, he was still moving with intention and like his laps didn't drop off or anything, but we also knew we would have had the opportunity to do that because the quote unquote race itself slowed down. He wasn't in like a battle where he was going to need to quick pit. He was going to really need to get out on that lap. So we knew that we could kind of time it well, take our time in the pit area, and then all go out together for that final lap. So it developed as the night went on and as Joe did his thing. And being able to do that was such an awesome experience, like to cap off kind of the whole World's Toughest Mudder experience in itself. Yeah, no, that's awesome. I unfortunately missed you guys finish. At that point, I was like in my like metal blanket, like on the floor, like a baked potato. But
I don't blame you one bit.
I've watched the live stream a few times, and it's just to see the three of you and the photos, like definitely a photo finish for the three.
One of them, like you said, I know it's a podcast, but one of them is up here right behind me. The one of us three, like kind of in that V shape crossing the finish line. It's somewhere on my wall right there. So.
I love that. Yeah, no, that's incredible. And then did you have like a favorite obstacle at World's Toughest Mudder?
I'm so bad with the obstacle names.
So am I.
When I try to bring them up to Joe, I usually just describe them and he's like super quick with it. But the Funky Monkey variation, where it was like the original Funky Monkey, but also had the twist of the Spartan Twister up, Funky Monkey down. I really enjoyed that one.
Did you do the penalty for that one at all?
No, I did not. Thankfully, I was able to get that one. The only penalties that I took were for electroshock therapy because it was the laser pistol and I'm a big baby. So I don't like the cold. I don't like to get shocked. So I took the penalty for that one because it was quick.
Yeah, no, that's fair. No, I was only asking because that was one of my favorite like British penalties. It was the one where you had to like get the cup of dirt and like walk it over the teacup and
oh yes.
Yeah,
that is a good one.
Yeah, so I wasn't sure if you got to like dabble in the fun of World's Toughest Mudder.
No, I just skipped Kill a Gorilla because that was a very painful climb after 10-14 hours, and then electroshock therapy were all we used our bands on for the most part. I'm pretty sure Kev was the same because he's better at obstacles than I am, so he was just flying through everything.
I have a hot take. I didn't mind Kill a Gorilla.
Wow, that is a hot take.
I was failing obstacles like left and right at that point of the night. So when they like closed out an obstacle that I like very much struggled to do, and I just had to, I'm like, oh, I can walk a little bit more.
Walk up a hill. Yeah, that's fair. That is very fair. But I think I didn't run it any of the times I encountered it because they opened it so late. And at that point, the fatigue is so built in that running that didn't make a lot of sense, especially needing to go back out for more laps for another 10 hours. They opened it at midnight. So it was, you still had essentially 12 hours to have to ascend and descend that hill. So I didn't run it, but it was definitely a time suck obstacle. So especially in the teams format, and I know Joe tackled it similarly, being on the very competitive side of the individual, it's like, yes, you could walk it, but it's just going to take so much time. So we were skipping it for time's sake, but like you mentioned, like you could definitely walk it. It wasn't crazy, but it sucked. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think too, like just on a little tangent, like that was part of the reason, like I had time to probably go out for one more lap, but I was like, I don't know if I have time to like do one more lap and do Kill a Gorilla. And like, if I get to Blockness alone, like I'm also screwed. Like it was but then I learned they were closing obstacles.
Yes. I also have a hot take. I think Blockness in the UK was 800 times harder than Blockness in the United States.
Yes.
So that's my hot take. Cause my toughest Mudder or Tough Mudder experience is I did, the 10K format, 15K format as a fun run with Kevin and Sammy. Like we did Kevin and I did Warrior Wolf Challenge, and on our drive back up, we met Sammy at Tough Mudder, I think Maryland, and just like did a fun lap. I did like none of the obstacles because my back was kind of messed up from Warrior Wolf Challenge. So that I don't really count because I didn't touch anything. I just kind of like ran the trails.
Right.
And then my first like real Tough Mudder event was Toughest Atlanta. And Blockness there, I was able to get over. And as I was pulling myself up, I was also like needing to move quick because if I pulled too hard, the block was coming towards me.
Yes.
In the UK, I jumped up and I grabbed the top of that block and it did not move an inch.
Yep.
It took like 5 people to get it to spin. So getting to Blockness alone, especially after like towards the back half of the race, it was like, and the water was so much deeper. The water was like up to my neck.
Yes.
So I would argue that Blockness is harder in the UK.
Yes, I actually have a photo that the great Jack Orris took of me. It's me on blockness with my arms like this, and Kevin Gregory lifting my legs. And it's literally, you can see he literally probably just like picked my legs up and like threw me over. And I was like, what a great photo. But I'm like, you could not do that alone.
Spin.
Nope.
No,
and, like,
the block did not spin.
At that, like, I had no upper body strength left. Like, there was.
Yeah. And with it, the water being as deep as it was, you weren't able to get that same jump that you could at from my experience at Toughest Atlanta. The water was maybe like waist high, slightly higher. So I was still able to get a pretty good jump out of the water. But in the UK, it was up to my neck. So I was in order to get my jump, I needed to kind of submerge underwater and then explode out of the water like
a torpedo.
Aquaman, and try to grab the top of the block. So it was definitely harder.
Yeah, no, 100%. Will we see you at World's Toughest Mudder next year?
Yes, with a small stipulation. High Rocks Worlds next year is in Sweden. They have not announced the date. The rumor mill has spiraled that it's going to be the weekend of the 18th, 19th, 20th. Okay. Because they released a YouTube video talking about Chicago, and they were talking to the founders of High Rocks, and they said a midsummer weekend, which in the UK and in Europe, like midsummer is like a holiday.
Yes.
So that would fall on the 18th, 19th, 20th. If High Rocks Worlds is that weekend, that would mean World's Toughest Mudder is the following weekend, which Joe and I have talked about kind of doing an extended European summer vacation.
Oh my God, I love that.
Trying to do High Rocks Worlds again together, and then sticking around to just pond hop and go to World's Toughest Mudder. If they happen to be separated by a week, where it would be like High Rocks Worlds, Gap Weekend, World's Toughest Mudder, I don't know if I'd be able to stay in England that long. And I also don't know if it would be smart to travel across, travel home, short turnaround, travel across, travel home. So I would like to say yes. There is the possibility it's a no. If I do go, the new thing would be I would compete as an individual.
Yes.
So if I do end up at World's Toughest Mudder in 2026, I would be competing as an individual. I absolutely will not be in that upper echelon of 100 milers.
You never know. You never know.
I would like to get a silver bib. That would be the plan, like 75 plus. I think I can, hopefully, I mean, I ran 65 with Kevin. So I think that I can get maybe 80, 85 if I have a good experience and my body doesn't completely reject me. So if I do end up there, it would be as an individual.
Let's manifest that silver bib for you.
Yes, please.
Absolutely. I'm all about manifesting that good energy.
I love that.
Okay. Well, the reason we had you originally on the show was to talk about Rally in the Valley. Is it in the Valley? In the Valley, right?
In the Valley, yes.
Perfect.
My wonderful t-shirt.
I love that. You came in 5th place. Congratulations.
Yes. Thank you so much.
How does it feel to be 2 world record holders? So we have Joe Rucco, World Toughest Mudder winner, and Kevin Gregory, who is world record. I don't even know of everything.
Everything.
What's it like to beat them though? Does it feel good?
At the end of the day, of course it does. At the end of the day, I think a big thing for us, especially all being within Underdog and just kind of the community and it in itself, is wanting each other to succeed as much as we succeed, if not more at some points in time. So I actually was having this conversation a little earlier with Joe and Kelly, because Kelly Sullivan was also there. And I was thinking about the weekend and just moments that popped into my mind. I feel like a lot of people do that after a competition weekend or a race weekend. You think of the little things.
Yep.
And I was reminiscing on the weekend moments, and all of the ones that were coming to my mind were about Joe and Kelly and Kev. And I was thinking about little moments of Joe smoked one of the events, and his he was running, and in typical Joe fashion, running extremely fast, and like watching him cross the finish line and just seeing in the crowd like the reactions to his finish time like stuck in my brain so vividly, and seeing them do well is also extremely fulfilling. So from the competitive side, like we all know what we're capable of, and friends or not friends, when you're in the competition setting, you want to do as well as you possibly can. So even if it is one of your best friends lining up against you, or somebody that you look up to lining up against you, once you're in that atmosphere, it's like 3, 2, 1, go, and you're like not friends for a couple minutes, and the competitive switch flips and you just go for it. So to finish placing where I did, I was super proud of it. It was an improvement for me from last year. But then also being able to see like Kelly take third for the women, and see Joe also make it into the top 8 at his first Rally in the Valley experience was super awesome too. So it feels good from like a personal win perspective, but also seeing them do well feels equally as good.
Oh, I love that. And then how do you prepare for a multi-day event? Like, obviously you have to be prepared, but your recovery has to also be down to a science.
Yeah, I think with the multi-day events, the biggest thing is similar to kind of how you pit with World's Toughest Mudder, is like you finish a lap or you finish an event, and the first thing that you kind of have to do is like change, get off your feet, get out of whatever shoes you're in, drink, hydrate like immediately, and then try to eat food as quickly as you can. Because also with the multi-day events and the multiple events in a single day, usually your time windows aren't that long. So it's like getting some calories in, trying to replenish as much as you can before you have to gear up for the next event. Rally this year, the first event was the 4-hour as many lap as possible trail loop. It started at 7:30 p.m.
Oh, wow.
And so we went from 7:30 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. for that event. And Saturday morning, the first event started at 8 a.m. So after we wrapped up from the trail run, got home, showered, ate, decompressed a little bit, tried to calm our bodies down after just running for 4 hours. It was like 2 a.m. when we finally went to bed. And then it was 6 a.m. wake up because we had to get back over to the venue. So from a recovery standpoint, I think everybody was in a very similar boat. Friday into Saturday was just kind of rough. It was grab whatever sleep you can, try to eat whatever food you can, and just hang on for dear life. The preparation of that, I think, in training is more just volume and daily volume, but also like touching on the specific things, like as they release workouts and they tell you components that are going to be involved throughout the weekend, like making sure you brush up on different skills and different demands, and then just trusting that your fitness is there. And then in the in-betweens of the events, it's just fueling, hydrating, like recovery boots, massage guns, just trying to stay off your feet for the short times that you do have, so that you can at least feel, we'll say, decent enough to start the next event. But it's definitely a different ball game with the multi-day and also multi-event days in the course of a weekend. I think that we'll blame this one on Kevin. I think as a community, like within Underdog, we all like to race a lot when we have the DECA weekends, and we'll do individual and teams, and then another teams. And then the next day we'll do another individual race and 2 more teams. So we're racing. I mean, I've raced there's been weekends that I've been at Underdog and I've raced like 7 times in a week.
Holy smokes.
And I think that kind of calluses us a little bit to the multi-day and multi-event day formats, because we kind of do it on our own. And I would say that that's a little bit of an advantage. And also, if you look at like DECA Worlds, we had so many people, myself included, that raced all 3 days, and some of us raced 2 times each day. So I think that type of conditioning comes from a little bit of experience, but also getting your body used to like ramping up to hit an event hard, cooling down, and then finding that again a little bit later in the day and warming up well, and then finding that spike of adrenaline to be able to hit another event. And I think that we have kind of conditioned ourselves through the DECA weekends at Underdog and just being willing to jump in and race as many times as we can.
No, and that makes sense. And that makes sense why Underdog does so well at those like more weekend long events, because you guys create your own DECA multi-day events.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that it's largely beneficial in the DECA space, especially when Worlds rolls around, because of the 3-day format and the opportunity to race. Arguably, I think Kevin raced 6-7 times last year at Worlds, and we had a bunch of people that were upwards of 3, 4, 5, 6 races in that weekend. And I think that doing that at Underdog, where it's controlled but also a little bit less stressful, and then being able to allow that to prepare us for Worlds and like translate to the multi-day and multiple events throughout the weekend, I think that it gives us a little bit of a leg up, just from being used to the kind of on and off that it requires with your body and like your central nervous system.
Yeah, that's true, because that's not even like a mindset thing, right? That's like a total body.
Yeah, it's mindset's definitely a big portion of it too, because same thing I think everybody's experienced, and you've probably experienced it too. Like, you get to an event, you start to warm up and you're like, don't really want to do this right now.
Yep.
And especially like after you already race or put out a really hard effort, I think that feeling kind of increases because you spiked really high, you put out a really hard effort, you cooled down, and now you're chilling. And then you have to re-warm up and re-incentivize yourself to go out there and go hard. And I think that from a mental standpoint, it is easy to just be like, I raced already, I don't want to do this. So I think it's both physical and mental. But of course, the physical component of it too is like, you put out a really hard threshold effort doing like a DECA mile, and you sprint around for 20 to 30 minutes, and then to then turn around an hour later and do that again, or do like a teams format after that, is also very physically demanding. So it's a good training stimulus when we're there.
Absolutely. No, that's really smart. And then do you come into an event like this? Like, so it's 6 different events throughout 2.5 days, right? Like,
yeah.
Do you come in with like a strategy? Like, I'm going to like higher perform in this event to like, maybe like swimming's not my thing. So like, I know that that's going to be a lot harder. I'm not going to perform as well. So I should like full out do event number 2 at like max capacity.
Absolutely. I think with Rally in the Valley specifically, or similar competitions that are across a couple days with a lot of different demands and disciplines, it's very hard to find somebody that is exceptional at everything. You will have people that are good at everything, and usually those are the guys that rise to the top and then end up in the podium positions or in the top 8, is because of the well-roundedness. But even with that, there are gaps, and there are going to be portions or components of the events that you're not incredible at. So for me, definitely there's a strategy component to it. And this year they brought back something that Matt likes to do, Matt Stevens. He likes to bring back a workout and roll it over to the next year. So from 2023 to 2024, they rolled over an event called Row It and Throw It, which was the row, erg, and then sandbag over the shoulders. And then 2024 to 2025, they rolled over hinge pin, which is an ascending weight deadlift ladder. So it starts for, I don't know the women's weights off the top of my head, so that's my fault. But it's 30 seconds on, 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, as many reps as you can accumulate in the 30 seconds of a deadlift, and each bar progressively gets heavier. So for the men, it was 225, 275, 335, 405, 450, and then 500.
Oh my God.
So for me, I am 170 pounds soaking wet. I am not very strong with pulling off the floor. And that's definitely something I've been working on, of course, but I know for me is a weakness in my lifting and in my strength. So the deadlift is not good for me. Last year, I think I took 17th in that event, and it was like bottom half of the pack. So going into this year, knowing it was coming back, that event again for me is a damage control event. I know
Right.
I'm not going to do incredible at it. And honestly, the goal is like, if I can finish dead in the middle of the pack, that would be a big win for me. So knowing that, and knowing that the placement for that event is going to be low and I'm not going to accumulate a lot of points from that event, I do have to figure out where I'm going to try to make up that ground that I'm going to essentially lose. So for me, that was the first event. The trail, the 4-hour AM lap, the fun run, Matt's fun run.
Yeah, I saw that.
It was scored at 150% of point total. So because of how long it was and how demanding it was, it had a little bit of an extra point weight, which for me was great, especially, I mean, coming off of kind of the toughest Atlanta, world's toughest mudder build, running in the dark in the trails, like, is a little bit more familiar for me now. And I feel confident doing that. And my running capacity has improved since rally last year. So that was good for me. And then also with the point adjustment, I knew I had to really die for points in that event.
Mm-hmm.
And my thought process was stockpile as many points as I possibly can from the run event, so that when the deadlift ladder rolls around and I finish inevitably low, they hopefully offset themselves and I wind up still somewhere in the like top 10-ish range.
Okay.
So the run starts and I go for it. I just go out really hard the first lap, because also another thing with that event was the tie break was your fastest lap time. So if you and somebody else finished with the same number of total laps, the tiebreaker was who completed any lap the fastest. So of course, with that in mind, everybody goes out really hard because we're all trying to get a good tiebreak score.
Right.
So I sprint that first lap. I'm like basically redlining, and I'm running with Joe and Jack Driscoll and Dylan Meriglia, and we are pretty much death sprinting through these trails.
Oh my gosh.
Our first lap was like 23, 24 minutes.
That is incredible.
A slightly over 5K loop. So we were moving. But for me, that wound up being advantageous because I finished the first lap behind Joe and Jack with, I think my time was like 24:10 or something like that. As the night progressed and everything, all of the laps occurred, I came in and three other guys had 7 laps as well. And I beat 2 of them in the tiebreaker.
Okay.
So that put me in third for that event. So it favored me by going out and getting a good tiebreak score. And I took third in the trail run, which also was a big point grab in preparation for inevitably a poor deadlift ladder. And it shook out exactly how I anticipated. The deadlift ladder rolled around. I actually lifted more weight than I did last year. So that was
congratulations.
A good improvement. Thank you. But I took 23rd in that event. So basically bottom third. And that was like, ooh, that's not going to get me a lot of points. So stockpiling the points from the trail run and then also doing well in the event Saturday morning offset the fact that, Shallow Grave. Yeah. Yep. So between Matt's fun run and Shallow Grave and placing well in those, it offset the fact that I placed bottom third in the deadlift ladder. So you definitely do game it, especially if you know your strengths and weaknesses, because there is so many different components. We touched on like almost everything that's in the competitive fitness space. We swam, we ran, we lifted, we mountain biked, we shot pistols, which is very like tactical games-esque. We did like a CrossFit style workout, echo bike, sandbag. So because there are so many components, I think it's very hard for somebody to just be top of the top at every single event. So you do have to kind of game it a little bit and know which events are going to be stronger, where you can really go out and sell your soul and try to die for points, and which ones you need to kind of just survive. So it's definitely a game with multiple events across the weekend.
That makes sense. So you have to go in with the strategy. Before we get too far away from the event, so we talked about event number 1, Matt's fun run, 4 hours, 5K trail loops. as many laps as possible. And then, so you do that Friday night, you wake up Saturday morning, you go to Shallow Grave.
Which was definitely a grave. It definitely was.
So I like took notes. So it was for men, 24 calories on the Echo bike. Yep. 5 devil press for 50 pounds or 50 seconds, max stand medicine, ball over shoulder, and then 1 minute rest. And then I knew this year it had like a secret minimum number of sandbags.
Yes. So that event is exactly how you described it. The format was 3 minutes on, 1 minute rest. So within that 3 minute window, you needed to complete the 24 calories on the Echo bike, the 5 devil's press at 50 pounds per hand, so 100 pounds total, and then max repetitions with an 100-pound sandbag over the shoulder, as many times as you could with whatever time you had left.
Mm-hmm.
The twist, as you mentioned, was the minimum rep requirement. So each round, the rep requirement increased. And if you did not hit the minimum rep requirement, none of the sandbags that you did in that round counted.
Okay.
So if you made it to the third round, the minimum rep requirement was 7 reps. Say you get 6 in that 3 minute window, not only do you stop the workout, but those 6 reps that you did do not count towards your score.
Okay.
So it was also a little bit of a game with that one, because there are kind of 2 or 3 different approaches you can take to a workout like that. If you know that the minimum rep requirement is not going to be an issue for you for the last round, then you can just kind of carve out a plan and be consistent with your sandbags and shoot for like a specific number that you know you can hit round after round, because it was 5 rounds in total.
Okay.
If the sandbag is going to present a little bit more of a problem and you know you might be flirting with the minimum rep requirement in rounds 3, 4, and 5, you might have to be a little bit more conservative in your first 2 rounds so that you have enough energy to be able to get the minimum rep requirements as the workout progresses. So there's definitely a game within that one as well.
Did they tell you like, okay, after lap 1, did you know the secret number, or were they just like knocking people off?
No, so we knew them. They announced it. They announced it on Thursday, and they told us what the minimum rep requirement was going to be for all 5 rounds. I think that they waited to announce it on Thursday so that nobody tried to test it beforehand. Because if they released the minimum rep requirement any earlier, people probably would have tried to sim it or try to test it and see where they were.
Mm-hmm.
But it being the day before the event, nobody's going to go to the gym and in one of the workouts because you're trying to be prepared for the actual events to start.
That makes sense.
So we knew the work requirement. I think that it presented a problem for some people, but also had some people having to make like game time decisions as the event progressed with just like the fatigue, because rounds 4 and 5 like were brutal. And I think that it changed the game with the minimum rep requirement and needing 9 for round 4 and then 11 for round 5. Like if you're in round 4 and you're struggling to get 9, you have to, it's either you're going to take the gamble and go for the 11, or you're just going to call it there, because if you do 10 reps, none of them are going to count. So are you going to do 10 more sandbags with the potential that none of them count towards your score? Or are you going to take the risk and go for it and hope you can meet the minimum? So I think that the minimum work requirement made people game it beforehand, but then also adjust on the fly depending on how the fatigue set in as the rounds went on.
That makes sense. And then you went on to event number 3, hinge pin, which was, we talked about the deadlifts ladders, which then turned into event 4, which was under fire. So it was a half-mile run. Good thing you skipped electroshock because you had to practice with the pistols.
Yeah, literally.
You did the freaking lasers obstacle. So 10 burpees, shoot 10 rounds, and then it sounds like based on like where you hit on the target, you either added seconds to your runtime or you subtracted seconds from your runtime.
Yep. So that event was scored for time. So total time to complete the 800 meter run, 10 burpees, 10 rounds and then another 800-meter run, and you got a finish time. After your event was completed, they scored your target.
Okay.
If you're looking at a target, like the center ring was minus 15 seconds, the inner ring was minus 10 seconds, the outer ring was minus 5 seconds, and if you missed the target completely, it was plus 10 seconds.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So the objective, of course, is to try to get the lowest cumulative time. So you need to run fast, burpee fast, shoot accurately, and then run fast again.
Mm-hmm.
And then hope that your shooting gave you additional time off and did not add time. So the only penalty was if you missed the target completely. And other than that, it was accuracy. Like the more accurate you were, the more total time you got taken off.
Did anybody completely miss it?
Oh yeah, a lot of people. There were a lot of people that got time added. So there's also the situation of like hitting some but missing more than you hit would still inevitably add time to your score. So there were a lot of people that got time added from the shooting. Rally did an amazing job with that event, and I want to give them a super huge shout out. So leading into that event, we were told that there was going to be a shooting element. At first, it was supposed to be a rifle. And I think from either logistics or safety or whatever the case was, it got switched to a pistol. And Matt and the team at Rally carved out 2 90-minute opportunities to be able to go to the range and shoot and learn and practice. So on Friday morning, there was the opportunity to go. We got like a full safety briefing. The team over there did an incredible job, like combing through every single detail, teaching us how to be safe, all of the rules, all of the regulations. And then we also had the ability to practice. And then before the event, we also did about a 90-minute briefing, safety briefing. People who weren't able to shoot on Friday got the opportunity to shoot and go through all the safety protocols. At all times while we were within the gun range, we had to have eye and ear safety. It was like a non-negotiable. They laid a bunch of ground rules that were also non-negotiable. Like they had a 180 rule. So basically, if you stick your arms out and somebody is within like your 180 degrees, you can't pass in front of them. So
that makes sense.
Especially if you're holding a weapon forward, like you cannot pass them, their body at all. So like they went through a ton of safety protocols and a ton of instruction and allowed us the opportunity to be hands-on with the weapons prior to the actual event. And I think that at least made everybody feel both safe and confident to be able to complete the event. Whether that meant people did good or bad is neither here nor there. But from a safety perspective, everybody went into that event comfortable and feeling like everything was lined up for them. And we were in both safe and like very just what's
like
the word
a controlled environment.
Yes, a controlled environment. Exactly.
Wow. Talk about like gun safety. Like that is like living, like, not to be like political, but like that is living, like we have guns. We're going to teach you the right way to do it. You are going to do this safely, like, and not just being like, here, take some guns.
100%. And that was the primary focus of that event from the very beginning, from when they announced that there was going to be a shooting component. Like Matt kept us very updated throughout the process of developing that event. And then also provided us with plenty of opportunities to be able to feel safe and practice and get familiar with the weapons. I mean, there was a lot of people, myself included, that was only their first, second, or third time ever holding a gun. So like you said, from a safety side of things, it's like, you can't just be like, here, go shoot a pistol. It's like, one, it's not that easy. And two, it's like a real life dangerous situation.
Right.
And there was the team that they had, I might mistake the number, but I want to say it was 6 like SWAT and weapon trained officers that were on site with us. Obviously, all the staff from the gun range was there and on site with us. Each person at their given target had somebody monitoring them. And like, even for me, I remember I did my run, I did my burpees. And when I first stood up, the gentleman that was observing me was just like, take a second, settle your breath. When you pick up the weapon, don't put your finger on the trigger until you're ready to shoot it. And like, he was giving me like coaching cues in real time.
That's
and
awesome.
I think that's also, it was for sure. They did an incredible job with that event. So hats off to them for that, because it's not easy to coordinate a shooting event that has 60 people and you're also shooting under duress, which is harder in general. So an event like that sounds like a logistical nightmare, and Matt and the team at Rally were able to do like such an incredible job with that, and it went off flawlessly and everybody was enjoying it. So they did incredible with that.
That's awesome. Yeah, especially like you said, like the only guns I've literally ever shot in my life were at World's Toughest Mudder. Like,
yeah,
it's not like you're getting these people who like grew up hunting and like with maybe like gun safety. I have none of that. So the fact that they provided all of that for you guys, like, that's hats off to them. Like, incredible for putting on like a safe event like that.
For sure. And there, of course, are those events that are both fitness and like shooting events, like the tactical games. And there are events that specifically do that. But to bring it to an event that isn't based in that kind of fitness competition and also be able to execute it and run it well, I think is much harder than people see or give it credit to it on paper.
Absolutely.
And they did phenomenal.
Yeah. And I feel like when you're training for the tactical games, you're like also training with a weapon, whereas
all
like
the time
you are not running around Underdog with like, okay, now let's go do our tactical training.
Nope. And the first time I've shot like paintball guns and airsoft guns growing up, but the first time I actually picked up like a real weapon was the Tuesday before I left for Rally, and I practiced and went through like the safety and stuff and how to like actually use a real gun. And then also, given the opportunities we had at the event, I was able to then practice again before the actual event. So by the time the event rolled around, like the nerves that I had about it and kind of the apprehension of the unfamiliarity, like, were pretty much gone. Of course, the pre-event nerves were there and like the competition nerves were there, but my brain was more competition nervous than, oh, I have to go and shoot a gun right now. And I'm not, and that's not my style, you know? So they did, like I said, they just did such an incredible job with it.
That's awesome. And that's great to hear too. Moving on, event 5, bob and weave. You were in a wave pool, retrieving dive rings and a shark.
Yes. Well, so not the shark anymore. The shark got axed, but dive rings, yes.
Okay. And that was just like time, right? Just a timed event.
Yep. So that was essentially a 2-part event that had a running clock. So the first part of that event, that's why it was bob and weave. So the weave component was on the turf field. The bob component was in the wave pool. So
that makes sense.
3, 2, 1, go. You start, the waves turn on, you run out into the wave pool, you dive down. The rings that we were retrieving were tossed around the 8-foot mark.
Okay.
So about an 8-foot give or take dive, depending on where the ring ended up settling in the pool. So you run out, you retrieve a ring, you have to bring it back to the entrance of the pool before you go out for your next one. So you couldn't dive down once and grab 3 rings and then run back. It was like one at a time.
Okay.
And that was timed. And after you put your 3rd ring down and you got out of the pool, you had to run across the parking lot to the turf field. It was maybe 200 meters, 300 meters. So like in the same general vicinity. So you got out of the pool, you ran through the parking lot to the turf field, and that was the weave component.
Okay.
Where you had 2 sandbags. For the men, it was 2 60-pound sandbags. For the women, it was 2 40-pound sandbags. And you had a 50-foot rope. So you had to tie your sandbags to each end of the rope.
Okay.
You dragged it 30 yards. And then at the 30-yard line, you did 30 reps of sandbag shoulder to overhead. Then drop your sandbag, you pull it another 30 yards. You do 30 alternating reverse lunges with the sandbag.
Oh my gosh.
you drop your sandbag, you pull it another 30 yards, you do 30 more shoulder to overhead. You drop your sandbag, you pull it all the way to the end line. It was like a soccer field. So you pull it all the way to the end line, then you pick up you have to untie your sandbags. You pick up both sandbags and your 50-foot rope, and you farmer's carry sprint back to the other side of the field.
Oh my gosh.
All of that, both the swimming and the field event, was one cumulative time. And that event was kind of crazy. The wave pool made things significantly harder.
How big were these waves? Like, I've been in wave pools where it's like a little bit. I've been in wave pools where you're like getting slammed.
I would say medium.
Okay.
Between those two. So they weren't just like little ripples. The current was strong enough that if you came up as a wave, like if you tried to come out of the water as a wave was rolling over, you would get moved. It would move you.
Okay.
So they were strong enough that it was developing a current, and like treading water became important because the waves are consistently like rising and falling. And it was a pretty steady like rhythm of the waves. It wasn't like a big wave and then it would settle. It was kind of just like jumbling the whole time. And then diving down in essentially the center of the waves also was challenging. With you have a high heart rate, you're treading water for a little bit, you have to look around, find a ring, and then dive down the 8 feet. And when you come back up, then you got to swim about probably 50 meters or maybe 30 meters back to drop your ring off. So the high heart rate and the strength of the waves definitely made it challenging.
Absolutely. What, like, you just said exactly what the event was. How long did that take? Like 15, like.
So the time cap for it was 15 minutes.
Okay.
So it was capped at 15 minutes. There was another time cap in the pool. So if you did not retrieve all 3 of your rings by the 7-minute mark, you got sent down to the turf to do the second part of the event.
Okay.
So in total, it was a 15-minute time cap. If I'm not mistaken, the top women were between the 11 and 12-minute mark, and the top men were between 9 and 10 minutes.
Okay, it's hard to like conceptualize like the amount of time it like actually took to do things, because it's like, I feel like you could have been in that wave pool all day.
Like, for sure. I think that if they didn't have a time cap on it, that people would have gotten stuck in the pool for the full 15 minutes. There were definitely there was a large handful of people that did not get all 3 of their rings. So with the time cap in the pool, it gave people the opportunity to be able to do the field event and score well on like the field portion. But I do think that if it was not time capped in the pool, that there would have been a good handful of people that were just bobbing around in the water for the full 15 minutes.
Yep. Oh my gosh, crazy. People would still be out there.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. I think it surprised a lot of people. So last year at Rally, there was a swimming component, but it was in a indoor like lane pool. So very controlled, very calm. So of course, if you're not a great swimmer, that still is challenging. But if you're a decent to good swimmer or a great swimmer, doing like a 50-meter in a lane pool is not crazy challenging.
Right.
And then this year with just the waves and also the diving portion and the retrieval of it, I think it took a lot of people by surprise and presented a bigger challenge for people. I mean, myself included, I would say I'm a good swimmer. I'm not exceptional and I don't swim very often, but I'm comfortable in the water. And when I was going out for my 3rd ring, my heart rate was very high. I swam out there and I found the ring that I needed to dive for, and I went to go dive down and hold my breath, and almost immediately I had to come back up because I was like, I didn't have enough oxygen.
Right.
I just did not have a big enough breath hold. My heart rate was a little bit too elevated that I had a moment of panic of like, I can't get that ring right now. And I think that was a component that presented itself for almost everybody, is like, you got to a point where either you were able to continue diving down, or between the elevated heart rate and the slight panic of like swimming and being in the water and treading water, like it was not a comfortable environment to be in, and that made it challenging for everybody. And then, of course, presented a larger challenge for other people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it adds like another fold into that, right? Like you're not just diving in a pool. There's elements.
If it was a still pool and we just had to do a retrieval, again, similar to the swim last year, it would have been challenging for some people who aren't comfortable in the water or not comfortable diving deeper into the water. But I don't think it would have been as challenging as this event was. Like last year, if I remember correctly, I don't believe there was anybody who wasn't able to complete the swimming element. And this year, like I said, like I would say probably more than half of the field did not get their 3 rings. So it was a big separator because, like you said, the other elements of it, it wasn't just a still pool. So it was the waves, the diving, the retrieval, swimming back and forth, essentially 6 times. Like it presented a big challenge. And I mean, I enjoyed it, and I felt that it was, I mean, it pushed me to a limit. And like I said, with my 3rd ring, I had that moment of a little bit of panic. It was like, I don't know if I could dive down there again, but I think that was another good element that they brought in that made competition like exciting, because even if you're a good swimmer, that doesn't necessarily mean you know how to tread water well. And that also doesn't necessarily mean you can dive down and retrieve something well. You could be a good pool lane swimmer and not be able to do those other components, or vice versa. You might not be a great, like a super fast, like pool swimmer, but if you're good at treading water and you can remain calm and you can dive down well, that could be advantageous for you. So I think it threw another wrinkle into kind of just a quote unquote swimming event.
Absolutely.
And made things interesting with like how the competition shook out.
And like, where else are you going to be competing in a wave pool? Like, let's be real.
Yeah, absolutely. When he announced that it was going to be at the wave pool, that was kind of my first thought too, because I've seen a bunch of events in both like the CrossFit side of things and also in the hybrid space, like utilize swimming, whether it's in a pool or like HybriCon Games last year had a swim. They were at Catalina Beach, so they had a beach swim. So I've seen swimming be utilized, but never a wave pool. So to 1, have access to a wave pool, and 2, throw an event in the wave pool, I thought was like super creative and made things super, like a ton of fun.
Right. No, that does sound like a ton of fun. And then event number 6, the finale. Is it my understanding that not everybody makes it to the finale?
Yes, that is correct. So the top 8 are the only ones who compete in the final event. So everybody throughout the weekend did the first 5 events, and then the top 8 men and top 8 women move on to a final workout. Your points that you accumulate throughout the weekend roll over into that top 8 event.
Okay.
So it doesn't necessarily, like, if you win the finale event, it doesn't mean you win rally.
Right.
It's just another scored event for the top 8.
Okay.
So it does have the potential to shake up the leaderboard, but at the same time, you don't start from 0 once you get to the finale. So all the points that you accumulate throughout the weekend are rolled over, and then you just have one more event that's scored for points.
That makes sense. So that's actually interesting. What is event 6, the finale? Was it like weighed differently, or it's like same? Like I know the first one was like 150%. The finale the same.
Yeah, the finale is the same. So the first event was the only one that had an adjustment in the scoring because of the total time domain and also total demand. It was the longest event of the weekend by
hours,
400%. Besides the trail run, the second longest event of the weekend was kind of a tie between Shallow Grave and the finale, being around that 20-minute mark.
Okay.
So if you're comparing 20 minutes to 4 hours, that's not a potato comparison. That's night and day different. So they weighed the trail run heavier because of just the sheer demand and time that it takes.
Okay.
But the finale event was weighted like a regular event.
Okay. So it was a four bike loops, and each loop was 3/4 of a mile. Does that sound about right? Yeah.
Yep.
3 total thrusters. Men had 95 pounds, and then a front, I don't know what this is, but a front rack lunge at every field marker. Was it a soccer field? Like,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah. So
and then, oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, to kind of explain the breakdown of it, it was at the same turf field that we utilized for a couple of the other events. The bike loop where we were was essentially like, I would say like a park.
Okay.
So it had like walking trails and bike paths, but it also had like the wave pool. It had a fitness center. It had the soccer field. So just kind of like a big community, like fitness space.
Sounds
I would
fun.
say. Yeah, it was awesome there. So the bike loop itself was behind the turf fields through like a path area. It wasn't fully wooded, but some of it was like wooded area. It was like a mix between like gravel and dirt, and that was like the bike path you took.
Okay.
And then you did your bike loop, and then you went onto the turf field and you did 10 barbell thrusters, and then then about 25 yards of a front rack walking lunge. So just the barbell kind of across like your shoulders, traps area, and you forward lunged to the next set of cones.
Okay.
When you got to the cones, you put your barbell down and you jumped back on the bike. You did another loop and you came back in and did that again.
Oh, okay.
So you're progressing up the field by doing the walking lunges, and you do the thrusters in place, and then you do the walking lunges and you progress up the field. So essentially it was 4 different rounds because it was bike loop, barbell movement, and then barbell like walking movement each round. So you did, first round was bike, thrusters, lunges. Second round was bike, thrusters, lunges. Third round was bike, thrusters, and then a front rack carry. So rather than lunging, you just have it in your front rack position across your shoulders, and you walked back to the end line. So it was 25 yards, and then you carried 50 yards back to the goal line. Then you did one more bike loop. And after you dropped your bike, you did a full field sprint.
Okay.
So it was on paper, and also explaining it, like, I know that sounds a little bit confusing, but overall, basically it was 4 rounds of bike and barbell movements. And then the last round was just one more bike loop and then a full field sprint.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And then were you, for the finale, was it all 16 of you at once, or was it?
No, they did the women first and then the men next, which thankfully they did. The bike path that we were on was a little bit narrow, so it was hard to pass people at certain points. There were a few spots that opened up that you were able to make a move if you needed to, but there were also a lot of spots that were essentially single track, where if the person in front of you is like slamming on their brakes, your options are also slam on your brakes or slam into them. So you couldn't really just like ride freely. So if they would have sent all 16 of us out at the same time, I think it would have been purely chaos.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And then, stupid question, did you have to bring your own bike?
No. So that event was sponsored by a local bike shop, Wheel Billy
awesome.
Bikes.
Okay.
It's literally like pretty much right across the street from where we were actually like doing the event. They sponsored the top 8 workout last year as well, which also included a mountain bike loop format. So they brought over all the bikes and all the helmets. And before the event, we got like fitted for a bike and fitted for a helmet so that it was our proper height and comfortable and stuff. And we had the right equipment and things that we needed. So they brought all that stuff over and just let us kind of rip around on some mountain bikes.
That's awesome. It sounds like this event is so like well thought out and like meticulous, and like, if you think you might need it, they're like, let's just provide them with the support before it even gets to the point where like accidents are happening.
100%. So Matt and Emily do a incredible job. So they own a gym that's also, so pretty much every place that we've mentioned so far is within like, I would say a 5 to 8 minute radius of each other in the town of Hurricane.
Okay.
It's spelled hurricane. It's pronounced hurricane. We learned that this weekend. Matt and Emily own a gym that's Shotfire Fitness. It's in that town. And they put on this event. And the amount of support that they have for the event extends all the way to like the mayor of Hurricane came to the events on Sunday. Mayor Edwards, he was present and watching us.
That's
so
awesome.
They have a ton of support for the event, both from the town, the county, the event sponsors that they had, like Battle Bunker partnered with them this year. Wheelbilly Bikes was the event sponsor for the final event, on top of many other people that are involved along the way that contribute to this event and put so much time, effort, and energy into it.
Mm-hmm.
And they do an exceptional job. Like last year was amazing, and that was what incentivized me to come back. It's once a year. It's niche. They cap it at 30 people. And it's like first come, first serve tickets. So it's not like a qualifier, and it's 30 men, 30 women. And I've kind of described it a few times to people as like adult fitness summer camp, because when you're in the competition environment and it's like 3, 2, 1, go, like everybody's there to compete. So it is very competitive.
Right.
But before and after events, it's just everybody's just hanging out. Like people come from all over the place, all different fitness backgrounds, all different walks of life, and you just spend the weekend together. And they also carved out some different things that we were able to do outside of the event itself. So there was like a night that they had live music at a cafe, and a night that they went out to get dinner as like a big group. And it's just like it's a spectacle. They put together a full weekend itinerary of both just like fitness and community. And I think that that's what makes it so special. And as you mentioned, they cross every T, they dot every I, they check every box from top to bottom, and they make sure that it runs as smoothly as possible. I mean, of course, with any in-person event with tons of people, there will be a hiccup along the way, and there will always be something that might come up. But they also do a very good job with like correcting things in real time, making adjustments if they need to, and being very athlete focused and making sure that the overall experience is preserved to the best of the ability. And they pour so much into it, and you could see it, like from as simple as having like the athlete briefing and walking through like what the weekend's going to look like and all the details of it, and then event to event, and just everything goes so smooth, and they put so much into it. And I think that's part of what makes it as unique of an experience as it is, because it's not just like setting up a race course in a convention center and like letting people just run through it. Like they really care, and they really invest into it, and they get the support that they need to from people in the community, from sponsors, from top to bottom, and allow them to pretty much do seemingly anything that they're capable of, which of course from the athlete perspective is really enjoyable, but also creates a really fun competition atmosphere. So although it is competitive, and like there's prize money on the line for the top 4, and there's the opportunities to be able to really compete, it also takes some of the pressure and stress away, where you can go in and really have fun while also being competitive, and surrounded by purely like-minded people, a bunch of high-level athletes from all different backgrounds and all different sides of the fitness world. And you just are all there for the same reason, which fosters such a unique competition experience and allows you to just like make connections and make friends and see familiar faces and walk away from the weekend feeling super fulfilled.
That's awesome. I had no idea that it was like not only like the race experience, but like the dinner, the community, the live music. Yeah. It's like you're not kidding when you describe it as like a adult summer fitness camp.
Yeah, it's so awesome. They do. And of course, all of those things are, besides the event itself, all the other things that they do are optional. Like if you're somebody who, I mean, either just wants to go and rest, or you want to step away from the competition atmosphere and not be like in the hustle of it, like you don't have to do any of those things, but they also give you the opportunities to go and connect with people and extend it further than just like those are your competitors and those are the people who you're fighting for spots on the leaderboard with, and you're able to like make friendships and make connections. And it's not just like a hi bye that you pass somebody in the venue that you've seen before. Like You're spending
Right.
essentially 4 days with all of these people in a very small confined space. Like all of the things that we did were within a 10-minute radius. So
Right.
it's when you're there for 4 days and you're with all of the same people for that long, like it's easy to just start making friends and just like make those connections and walk away from the weekend both proud and happy with the competition experience, but also the social element of it too, and the community aspect of it that you walk away with. And that's what brought me back this year. Like
That's
I enjoyed the
awesome.
competition side and I did well last year from a competitive standpoint, but my brain, when I think of rally, doesn't think of like fitness competition. It thinks of adult fitness summer camp. So I'm like, I just want to go back and hang out with my friends, you know? So it's really good.
I love that. And yeah, no, I feel like too, it's like as an adult, it's hard to make friends. Well, I don't know if you feel that way, but like I feel that way.
100%.
And now you're like in an environment with like-minded people, and it's so, and like you said, like you're doing more than just competing. It's fostering that friendship and fostering like, oh, am I gonna see you this weekend here? Or like, I know Melissa Linden was somebody that was out there, and like her and I become
she's
friendly.
Awesome.
Yeah, but it's like she's somebody that like you might now look forward to like seeing out in the wild.
Absolutely. Yeah, it kind of forces your hand a little bit, both from the side of being in that tight-knit space for 3-4 days with the same people. Like, I mean, you could go shove yourself in a corner and like not talk to anybody. And of course, there are people along the way that aren't as outwardly social or open to that kind of situation, which is also totally cool. Like to each their own. There's no knock to not wanting to be like a social butterfly, because for some people that's also a challenge. So if you're in a competition setting, that could bring stress and anxiety and pressure and stuff, and then you're also stepping out of your comfort zone because you're not like an extrovert, that could be like a double-edged sword. So people also aren't like forced to do any of these things, or it's not like a requirement with rally, but it does give you a really good opportunity to step out of your comfort zone, both in the competition space with the multi-day format with a ton of different disciplines, but also from the sake of like socially, you're in a small confines with the same 60 people for 4 days, and you have the opportunity to connect and to make friends. And as an adult, it is hard. I mean, for the most part, like the days look very similar for a lot of people, and it's just the usual, like wake up, go to work. If you go to the gym and you train, you go and do that. If you have a couple hobbies or outlets, you go and do that from time to time. But for the most part, like it's not like when you're in school and you just like are seemingly hanging out with your friends all the time.
Right.
So it's hard to make those connections. And I would say, I think it gets a little bit harder when you're not part of the 99%. And this isn't to sound like we're above or like better than, or just in general, a lot of people are not into fitness or into working out or running or doing any of these things, where not that we put ourselves in a box, but we limit a little bit of where we can make connections because we're not doing general population or everyday people things all the time. So like for me, for example, like my coworkers have no idea what the heck I do. They don't understand it. When I try to explain it, it sounds like I'm speaking a different language. A lot of it goes like right over their head, and we can't make the connections on it that somebody like you and I, or somebody you meet at rally can make, of like, oh, you did this event, that's awesome. Or, oh, you're training for a half Ironman, or you're training for an ultra, like, and you know what that is, and you're able to both relate to it, but also appreciate it. And being with people that are at least generally in the same mindset and headspace of fitness driven or enjoying the competitive side of fitness, like it's easier to make those connections and walk away from the weekend with like new friends. So it's a great atmosphere.
Yeah. And like going back to that, like when I ran World's Toughest Mudder, I don't know if you know this, I told no one. Like I literally, so like I'm a teacher. I finished school on Friday, got in a plane Sunday, flew to London, and then just like my coworkers told me I like hard launched it. Like I literally was like, okay, this is what I'm doing. Like, wish me luck. But it was hard because like while I was training, like my coworkers would want to like go out like Friday night. And I'm like, I had like a 2 hour, like I was in such like the thick of training that like I would run for 6 hours on a Saturday. And I'm just like, sorry, like I have to do this. And it's not that like I don't want to see you guys. It's just like, if I don't do this now, I'm going to pay for it later. And I think it's hard to like, nobody's going to go out and run 6 hours with you. Like,
no, it's not very common. And that also, I think, presents a challenge within making friends or also continuing to build on friendships when there is a disconnect. And for me, like my experience with it was, I would assume that there are people who have gone through very similar kind of changes in their like with their friends and in their friend groups throughout like periods of life. But like when I started to take my fitness and health super seriously, like really quick tangent, I
love a tangent. So
we do love a tangent. I went on like a pretty big weight loss journey after high school. So while I was in that phase where I was like really prioritizing my health and fitness and going to the gym and like you said, dedicating the time and effort into that and saying no to things that my friends were doing because it wasn't something I wanted to do, but it also didn't really align with kind of the path I was trying to carve for myself. It created a disconnect. And the people that I like graduated high school with or went to college with that I thought would be in my life and be my friends for the long haul, like we slowly started to drift away, which is inevitable in life and inevitable in the growth of it. So I don't like resent any of them. And like, I still cherish all of those memories, but it made it harder because I felt like I was like isolated. I felt like I didn't have a friend group of people that thought the same as me or liked similar things as me. I felt like I couldn't relate to anybody. And then that tangent leads to a whole nother tangent of finding Underdog. So then finding that community of people and those friends that are like more like-minded, understand what you're doing and the dedication and the time that you're putting into it and can relate to you where you can connect on a different level than just like your surface level, like coworker friends or your surface level people that you meet out and you're just like, oh, like you're friendly, you're more acquaintances than friends. So it's hard.
Yeah, no, it definitely is hard. And like anywhere where we can find community, like that's all we really want, right? Like
100%.
Like you said, we wake up, we go to work, maybe we work out, maybe we have a hobby. I don't know about you. I don't have that many hobbies. So it's like
I don't really either.
So it's like you need to find that community where you can find it. And it's so nice that Rally in the Valley like fosters that sense of community.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, I have not been around for long enough to be able to really speak to other communities within the fitness space. But from like what I've heard, like old Spartan community used to be very much like that, where going to Spartan races and events seemed like essentially like a big powwow of people.
Yes.
And I would say that it's probably not the same now from like my experiences and a lot of the other events. It's like you go, some of your friends might be there, which is always great. And you kind of just compete, you get in, you get out. You don't really like spend a lot of extra time there. If you're lucky enough, like thankfully I am, where we usually have a big group of people from Underdog go, which then creates our own kind of little sense of community if the rest of the event is not super community driven. And I think that also helps us then bring more people in and like rope people into being friends with us, because we show up with like a group of people and it's exciting.
It was like us at the bar crawl when Mike and I showed up, and I was like, Mike is very like introverted and like not that he doesn't socialize, but he's just like, he'll find his people and like sit there. But when we found you guys, I was like, oh good, we can go sit with Underdog. Like,
yeah, it's awesome. And that of course helps. But for like a High Rocks event or even like a Deca Fit event, it's like High Rocks, especially, like there's thousands of people there. You usually just kind of go in, you warm up, you race your race, and you kind of get out of the venue like within a reasonable time frame. You're not really sticking around to hang out all that much, like unless you have somebody like a friend that's going to race, but it's not the same type of community, it's also a great community. And I think that any type of fitness competition or OCR or things like that give you the opportunity to make connections. But I think like Rally does it differently, where they put you in a spot that, not that it leaves you no choice, but it forces your hand a little bit more to be a little more outgoing and to be willing to socialize. Where like at High Rocks events, I don't just approach a random stranger and just like strike up a conversation.
Yeah.
But at Rally, it's like you see somebody that you've seen for the last 24 hours standing there, and it's like, oh, let's go say hi. Let's go introduce ourselves. Let's see what you're about, you know, and like what you're training for, what your goals are. And you just like talk. Like this year, I mean, of course, throughout the weekend, I was talking to a whole bunch of different people, but last year when I competed, there was a guy there, his name is Kyle, and same thing in passing. We like chatted a few times very briefly, but it was, I would say, more surface level than anything else. And then he was back again this year. So was I. And we actually ran the last lap of the trail run together.
Okay.
And same thing with like World's Toughest Mudder is like you latch onto somebody you run and you just start talking about like whatever.
Next thing you know, you're like knee deep in childhood trauma. And I'm like,
literally. So it's like I got to learn like a lot about him, and we got to share like similar experiences and just talk about like things that are deeper than just like a hello and a goodbye or like a good luck at your race, you know, and like built a connection. And from that moment on, it was like all weekend we were like connected in a way of like I was directly competing against him, but I was also like rooting for him and I wanted him to do well. And same thing, like after events, we were coming up to each other, congratulating each other.
I love that.
And yeah, it gives you a little bit of a different sense of self, but also a little bit more of a community element than I think some other events do.
Absolutely. I did not realize we've been doing this for an hour and a half. So
yeah, I could talk forever.
Same. It's so bad. And like at work, if I don't get a lot of socialization in, I'm even chattier. So I apologize.
Not at all. It's been awesome.
So what out of the 6 events, which one was your absolute favorite?
Oh, that's hard. I would say the finale event this year was my favorite. I think the element of the mountain bike is also one of those twists that not everybody's typically used to. I think a lot of people, especially in the fitness and hybrid scene, like they either ride road bikes or they use like eco bikes, assault bikes, the Concept 2 bike, a stationary bike. But I think it's a little bit more rare to see people that are like routinely mountain biking. So that element is very fun. And I've been like, I rode bikes as a kid forever. So getting on a bike and just being able to like rip around and kind of just have fun with it is a very cool component. And I think the field work was sneaky, where if you tried to move too fast or you tried to hold on to the barbell for a little bit too long, it caused more damage to the bike. Okay. And also vice versa. If you rode the bike too hard and you got to the barbell and your legs were blown up, it made doing leg dominant barbell work very hard. So it was kind of like a give and take and a risk that you had to play of like, do I push the field work really hard or do I push the bike really hard? And which one do I try to capitalize on? So I think the game element of that workout and also just utilizing the mountain bike was a lot of fun. So I would say the finale was my favorite one this year.
That's fair. Going into the finale, do you know what place you were in?
I was in 6th going into the finale.
Okay. Then you finished in 5th. That's awesome.
And I finished in 5th. Yeah. So I made a move with the top 8 event. Like I said before, it's possible to make a move on the leaderboard, but unless you're separated by a very small point margin, it's hard because there's only 8 people in the event. So it's not a field of 30 where if you finish in, say, 3rd, and then the person who's underneath you or ahead of you finishes in 12th, you gain a lot more points. But if the difference between 3rd and 12th versus 2nd and 6th is not the same like gap, where the point totals that you can accumulate in the final workout are not super large. Last year going into the finale, I was sitting in 8th. I took a 3rd on the mountain bike portion and I took a 5th on the barbell portion, and I didn't move. I stayed in 8th.
Oh, wow.
So, and that happened last year for a lot of people. And I think it also happened this year for a lot of people. Is like you go into the finale workout and there aren't that many points on the table. So the leaderboard usually doesn't shake up that much unless you're within a very small margin of points. So for me this year, the gentleman that was ahead of me, his name is Aston. We were only separated by 3 points or 4 points. So because I finished the event and I placed higher than him in that event, we wound up actually tying for points. And in that scenario, the tiebreaker is highest event place finish from the weekend.
Okay.
And I had the second in the finale, the third in the trail run, and a fourth place in the run and shooting event. So my overall placements throughout the weekend were higher. So that gave me the tiebreak.
That's awesome.
It is possible to move in the final event, but it's usually not very common that you see like a large shakeup of the leaderboard.
That makes sense. And then which event was your least favorite? Or like the most tough, most difficult?
Most tough is very on brand for like Tough Mudder. For me, I don't want to be biased, but it's probably going to be hinge pin just because it's not a strength of mine. So when you're doing a weakness workout or you're doing something that's not in your wheelhouse, it never really feels good.
Right.
So I didn't have the most fun during that event because all that kind of was going through my mind was like, do the best you can, but even the best you can is going to be lower than you'd like to finish in an event. So that is a little bit of a mental battle that isn't fun to be in when you know, even if you perform exceptionally well for your own abilities, it's still not going to reflect that in your score and on the leaderboard.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like bittersweet. So like I mentioned, I moved more weight this year because the way that's scored is like total weight moved. So they add up all of your barbell weights and your totals are in the like thousands.
Right.
So I moved more weight than I did last year, but I still placed the bottom third. So I did improve, but then I look at the leaderboard and I didn't improve or I didn't do well. So it's like, that's a weird dynamic to be in. And that's not necessarily the most fun, but looking outside of my biases, I would say Shallow Grave was probably the next hardest event
that
for me.
That sounds terrible.
Yeah. Also, I guess that also kind of isn't in the same umbrella of the Echo Bike is not a huge strength of mine. And the 100-pound dumbbells and the 100-pound sandbag is like 70% of my body weight. So it's heavier for me, where an event like that also doesn't favor my skill sets that much. So that one was probably the hardest outside of the deadlift ladder. But to be totally honest, like I enjoyed all of them. Like,
that's good.
Besides just like I mentioned, that like little mental battle during the deadlift ladder, like the event itself and like the format and the layout and the concept of it is fun and I enjoyed it. It's just not good for me. So those feelings of like, this sucks are just kind of a little more forward facing, but overall, like there wasn't an event that I was unhappy with or when I was competing was like, oh, this is dumb. You know, like they were all very well put together. And I think that they touched on a bunch of different like demands and disciplines and skill sets, but also a bunch of different time domains. We went from a 4-hour run to a short sprinty 5-minute event. And we had the ones that were in the 10, 15, 20-minute range. So I think it was very varied and kept things interesting. So I really enjoyed all of them.
As the kids say, no notes.
No notes.
Perfect. And then after the event, you posted a checklist of your goals for the weekend. So you had event goals and you had personal goals. It looks like you checked all of the goals. Were there any goals that you didn't hit that you just didn't share publicly?
No, it was a clean sweep. So I've posted those. So background on that. Before events, I write out my goals in my phone notes.
I love that.
And in that same format, it's usually event goals, which are time-based, placement-based, a little bit more metric-driven, which are, I guess, more tangible. And then personal goals, which could be pretty much anything. Like I think one of them on my list for rally was like smile the whole time, just smile. So personal goals where like the little wins of things that you want to do, like both as a person and as a competitor that might not show up on the stat sheet or might not show up on the leaderboard. So things that I want to do for me or for other people that I'm with, or like my teammates and my friends. So both event goals and personal goals, and then things that I don't usually post on social media, but wouldn't, like, it's not from a privacy thing or anything like that, but I usually do like positive affirmations. I do a couple mantras if there's like a quote or something that has stuck out to me within recent time that's been stuck in my brain. And then I'll do like just like things that resonate with me for the given period of time that I'm in or the event that I'm going into that I think hold some significance or carry some weight. And I put that all in my phone notes. And as the weekend goes on, check them off if I can, or if I don't, I just like put the strike through. And they even if I don't hit them, they stay on the list, because I think that it's important to not hide your quote unquote failures. I mean, I don't think that necessarily all of the, like, if you don't hit all of your goals in a given event weekend, that it's like any of them are failures. But for lack of better words, it's like the things that I put on the list, if I don't achieve them, I don't like delete them from the list, because I set out to do them. And even if I didn't achieve them, it's okay. It's not, the objective isn't to clean sweep the goal list every time, because there are events. And even like this year, like I knew the competition this year was more competitive than last year. And last year I barely snuck into the top 8. So one of my goals on that list was compete in the top 8 workout. Didn't specify placement, didn't determine how I got there or what went on throughout the weekend. The objective was to just compete in the final event. And knowing that the competition was a deeper field than last year, and I barely got in. I think I was only in 8th by like 3 or 4 points last year. It was like by the skin of my teeth. So it wasn't a guarantee. So something like that, if this year rolled around and it didn't shake out, I wouldn't have like deleted it off the list. I just would have put the strike through it and then look back at it down the road, or when I'm drafting my goals for Rally 2026 and I see like I put that on my list last year, I wasn't able to achieve it, we'll carry it over to this list and we'll try again. So there wasn't ones that I did not hit this weekend and chose to not share on social media. I try, it's not all the time, and I will admit that there are definitely things that you post and you are a little more strategic about what you post because of the way it's perceived. But I try to be, I would say 99% open and transparent on my social media. I don't try to really like hide or glamorize things, or, and that's also why like my race recaps, like, that I do post, there are times where I'm like, that sucked and I wasn't happy about it. And I'm not going to lie and say I was super thrilled with something if I wasn't. And leading into High Rocks Worlds, I was posting what I kind of looked at as like journal entries, where it was like, I guess for a lack of better explanation, like a dear diary. And it was like things that I was thinking. And a lot of them were not glamorous. It was like, I'm super nervous. This is my event for the year. I'm going into this event and all of these emotions are here, and the imposter syndrome and the what if and all of the things that kind of spiral through your brain as a competitor, and when you have a goal and goals that you want to achieve. And I was posting those and just like letting people read them, and the amount of people that would swipe up on them and reply back like, this was so great to hear. I really enjoyed reading this from your perspective. Like, it was awesome that you shared this because I feel the same way. Like, I think that that's more beneficial, and that holds a bigger place in my heart than the race recaps where I'm like, everything went great and I had a stellar event. But it's like, yeah, of course those are nice too. And like, I'm always proud of those. But when I can connect with somebody and they can like see my posts or read something I post and feel inspired, or feel like they can relate to it, or that it resonates with them in their current stage of life or what they're preparing for, I think that that is so much more valuable than the accolades or the success in races or doing well in events. I think it can impact people more so if you're genuine and transparent with what you post and how you approach social media versus if you try to make it all all good all the time, all gorgeous all the time, like flawless,
right.
It's not what people relate to.
No.
And I think for me, both from inside of my community, but also outside of my community and the people that are more just we mutual followers on social media that I might not interact with all the time. Like I want to be the same person, both within my community, like behind the closed doors or not on the public social media page, that I am also on the social media page. I don't think, for me, at least my perception of it is, your social media is kind of like a scrapbook or like a journal of your life where you get to share your experiences and share your moments and your highlights and your good and the things that you're able to do both inside and outside of the fitness space. And with that comes the hardships and the difficulties, and not everything is great. And to assume that it is all the time or to post that it is all the time is just not really the truth. And for the people that are able to maintain good all the time, like all the power to them. And that's incredible. But for me, that's not always the case. Like I struggle. Right. I battle with the training woes and the mental battles and the things that I think a lot of people also do deal with, and not everybody's public about them. And that is also totally okay, because you're entitled to your privacy and who you want to share things with. But for me, I like to use social media as that journal and as that scrapbook where I can share what I'm feeling and how I'm feeling and how things are going and be transparent about it.
Yeah. And I think it's important too to be vulnerable. World's Toughest Mudder was the first big event I've ever done in my whole life. And I remember sitting at race briefing and being like, why is nobody panicking? Aren't we all freaking out? Everybody's calm, cool, and collected. And then we get to the start line and I'm like, nobody's panicking.
And I can guarantee you there was at least one other person on that start line panicking, and it was me. So if nobody else, it was me. So I think that's also another thing too, is perception is huge. And I think that determines, that can be a whole conversation of itself, is it really determines a lot of different things and how you approach different things, and what you see, especially on social media, is more good than bad. I would say bigger picture is most of the time it's like a highlight reel and it's a lot of only good things, and not everybody is vulnerable or open to having conversations about their struggles and their hardships, which again is totally okay. You can approach your social media however you want to. It's your social media. There's no rules. It's yours.
Right.
But I think that a lot of people find value out of when others share their real life experiences and their hardships and their struggles, because behind closed doors and behind the apps and behind the deadpan faces, people are panicking internally, and people are going through things, and people are struggling. It's not always butterflies and rainbows. And that comes across on social media much more than the struggles and the hardships. Everything looks so glamorous in the world of social media, and which is great, but it also doesn't, I think it holds less value, or people don't value it as much because they look at it, and if it doesn't resonate with them, or if they can't relate to it directly, then it's more of that doom scrolling, where if you then see something that hits home a little bit, or it was something you were thinking about, or it was something you were having a conversation with one of your friends about, and then you see someone post about it, it's oh shit, they're thinking that too. They're battling with that too. They're struggling with that too. And I think that that's valuable. And I try to be open, as open as I can on social media.
I know that was something too. I don't know if you know this, that Mike, every pit that I had, he was taking live audio.
I love that
on the podcast.
Incredible.
And we get home and he's like, okay, do you want to listen to it? And I'm like, I don't want it to be anything bad. And he's like, but it needs to be real. Like, if we're going to do this, like, we can't, the lap where you came in and cried for 10 minutes, we can't pretend that didn't exist. Like, that's real life. That's what happened. I can't tell you how many DMs I got from people being like, oh my gosh, like, that was like a real perspective. Like, I felt that way too. This felt that way to me too. And I was like, oh, because when you're on course, like, you're not inside other people's heads. I had no idea that you were panicking at the start line. Everybody's like dancing and having a good time. And I'm like, oh, this isn't fun.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. And that's a big component that I think people don't do as much, but I think that if more people did, it would foster an even deeper sense of community within these type of events and these things that we're doing. If people were a little bit more vulnerable and a little bit more transparent, that you would find more people that you actually relate to, rather than the appearance on social media. And similar to you, it's like I came in from laps of World's Toughest Mudder and was like hyperventilating, shivering, freezing, rolled up in a ball in one of the like foil blankets in a dry robe.
You are also a baked potato.
A baked potato in fetal position, like trying to figure out how to warm up my body temperature. And there was a moment that I distinctly remember saying to Jess, I was like, I don't think I can go back out for another lap right now. And like I said it out loud, and it was genuinely how I felt. And Jess was like, okay, like when Kevin comes in, I'll tell him that he has to go back out for another lap. Like, if you can't do it, like, don't do it. And that was part of like, that was the thoughts that were going through my mind. And I sat there for a good 10, 15 minutes, because with World's Toughest Mudder, we were averaging around like an hour for a lap. So I knew I had some time. And
so fast.
I was sitting there in my baked potato-ness, and all that was going through my head was like, I have to go back out for that lap because I can't let Kevin down. So I can't, like, he's also struggling, and I know that he's struggling, and I'm struggling. We're deep into this race. We're both hurting. We're both tired. We both probably don't want to do this anymore. And if I don't go back out for the lap, it's going to force him to go back out for the lap. And that's not fair. Would he have done it? Absolutely. If he came in and he saw me and like in the state that I was in, he would have went back out for that lap without question.
Yeah.
But for me, from both a friend perspective, but also from a personal perspective, I was like, if I don't go back out and I send him out again, I would be miserable doing that. Yeah. So if I'm going to essentially force him into an uncomfortable situation, or an even more uncomfortable situation, that's like kind of selfish of me. When we're both in the same boat, we've both been running for 10 plus hours. We both are tired. We're both cold. It's like 4 a.m. It's dark, you know? Yeah. So I mustered up the courage to get back up and get out there. But I also had like in real time struggles all like throughout the entire event. I would come in from a lap and immediately my body temperature would shoot down and I'd be freezing cold. Like, there were laps that I wasn't eating. There were laps that I wasn't drinking enough. There were laps that I on course was having those terrible thoughts.
Those dark thoughts. Yeah.
Those dark thoughts. And I think that everybody does. And whether they display it on their face or in their demeanor or their movement is a totally different story. But I would say every single person that was on the World's Toughest Mudder course and every single person that toes the start line of any kind of fitness event or competition has had thoughts like that more often than not, and just people don't talk about them. And from a personal connection standpoint and also from a relatability standpoint, I think that those lessons are valuable. And also when there are like levels to it, like when like I look up to Kev tremendously and like have since I've been integrated into the Underdog space, and like when he posts something on social media, like that's a little bit more vulnerable and he's sharing something that's not just like, oh, I just did 1 million Decker races and won them all.
Right.
Like, I read those posts and I take a lot of value from them. And he's taught me a lot of incredible things, both in our conversations like day to day, but also like with what he's put on social media and the things that he's shared and the insight that he has and like his impact. And I look up to that. And because of like his caliber, his both as an athlete and as a person, he he sets the bar high and he maintains that. So then when he shares something that might be going on in my brain that I don't think anybody else is experiencing, and then I see somebody of his success and of his, like, the way he carries himself and like leads a brand and leads a business, and somebody who seemingly on paper has it like all put together and everything is great, and then he shares something that is vulnerable and maybe not so picture perfect, it resonates with me. And if I could then do that for others, that's something I would like to do as well.
It's so humanizing, right? Like, you
For
look
sure.
at people like Kevin Gregory or like Lindsay Webster, and you're like, oh, they have it like all together, and they're these like pro athletes,
Superheroes.
Yep. All they do is they work out. Like, they don't have like the job responsibility that like us. Not that you're a regular person. I'm a regular person just trying to figure out fitness, right? And you look at them and then they post something vulnerable like that. You're like, oh, right. Like, they are just human. Like,
yeah, absolutely. And for me, it's like, because I am also new in this space and relatively new to like the competitive side of fitness, it's like my friends are superheroes. Like Joe, Kelly, Kevin, like they've been in the game for a decade and have been seemingly at the top of the game for a decade. And they've done so many incredible things, and just like their accomplishments and their achievements and their resumes are massive, but then also on top of that, they are simply incredible humans. Like, they just as people, like, even if they didn't do fitness at all, like, I would still look at them in the same regard because of the way that they carry themselves, the way that they act, the way that they impact others, like, and their willingness to be as helpful and encouraging and uplifting as they are to anybody they encounter. And like, I look up to them as well as like aspire to be at that level of, and create that kind of impact for other people as well. So when, like you said, when they post things like that, or they share their experiences with me, whether it's on social media or not on social media, and it brings them back down to that kind of like human level, and I can relate to it, it's super impactful. And if I'm then able to continue that chain, I think that holds more weight for me than just posting like, oh, I just raced the high rocks, and then I got on the podium. Like, cool. Like, those things are cool, and of course I'm proud of them, and I'm not going to like downplay them, but from a personal standpoint, I think that the vulnerability and the transparency and the way that I can impact people on a deeper level is more important to me than any of the possible like accolades or race wins or things like that I can take away. So I try my best, at least.
No, that makes sense. And I just started following you on my personal Instagram. That's probably why your Rally in the Valley goals was the first one I've seen. Cause like, yes, we have like the podcast Instagram, but I'm not like, not that I'm dupe scrolling, but I'm not like,
100%.
Oh, what are all these people doing that I don't know in real life?
Yeah, that's the same way I am with the Underdog Instagram. It's like I go on it to like make posts and interact, like I would say loosely, but I'm not like flipping through the feed. It's like I make sure that I respond to comments, I respond to DMs, I like things, I share things, I make a post, and I get off. I don't like, it's more of like, I mean, at the end of the day, it's kind of like a job. So it's more just like check in, do the things you need to do, and get off. So I totally understand that as well.
That makes sense. And then how do you set event goals and personal goals that are realistic? Like, obviously you could have set a goal to be like first place, fastest like sprint lap during the 5K or the fun run, but like, what goes into your goal making process?
A bunch of different things go into that, and keeping them realistic or trying to make them realistic isn't the case all the time. There are times that I write down loftier goals and put them on paper, and kind of back to that like manifesting thing. Like, if you don't write it out on paper, or if you don't try to manifest it or put it into your brain that it's possible to achieve, it more than likely won't get done. If you write something down and you're not able to check it off, that's totally okay. So realistic, yes, but there are times that I write down things that might be a little bit of a reach. They're a little bit of a stretch where it's very possible that I walk away from the weekend and I don't check that box. And that, I think, helps me stay motivated, but also keeps me kind of in check. Like if I wrote down goals that were kind of givens all the time, and then at the end of the weekend, it was just like, oh, check, 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 check. Like, great. But at the same time, is that pushing me outside of my comfort zone? Is that pushing me to try to be a better person, be a better athlete, strive for something that might seem a little bit crazy or a little bit unreachable? So I think that there's a fine line. Like the goals that I wrote down for Rally, none of them were given, but they were within reach that if I performed well throughout the weekend, I was going to be able to check them off. So like you said before, rather than saying or writing a goal down that was like win Rally in the Valley, I wrote down compete in the top 8 workout, because my goal going into the weekend was make it back into the top 8, whether that was first, 8th, or dead in the middle at 5th. That was what I wanted to achieve out of the weekend. So could I have wrote win Rally in the Valley? I could have, but for me, that wasn't something I was dead set on. And also being realistic with myself and knowing who was going to be at the event, I knew that the top 8 was going to require putting together a fully complete weekend. And looking at like my event finishes, the only event that I finished outside the top 10 in was the deadlift ladder. So I've had to be basically in the top 8 for every workout all weekend to just hold there, because there were so many other guys that performed incredibly. So it was not a given. But there have been times where I've wrote down like time goals and was not able to hit them. Like we can even use like DecaFit Philly, which wasn't too long ago, or DecaFit Northeast. I wanted to be in the 32 range for my DecaFit. So I wrote down, I don't remember exactly how I worded it, but I was like, run a 32. And then in parentheses was like my PR time, which is 32:51. Okay. So running a 32 could be 32:01. It could be 32:59. So I wanted to see 32 as my first number, and I ran a 33:30. So I didn't hit it, but it was what I wanted. It was something that was within reach. It was a little bit of a stretch because I've only ran in the 32s one other time. So it wasn't, again, not a given, but something that pushes me and hopefully pushes me forward, right, without bringing me down. Because the other side of the goal setting is if you write things down that are out of the realm of possibility or just too unrealistic for where you are in your current fitness space or fitness journey, and every time you look back at your list, there's not one thing that you can check off, that won't have a positive impact.
Right. You need that dopamine. Like you need
that sense of accomplishment, whether it's big or small. So you need to write down goals that are realistic, but also push you. So some of them can be a little bit lofty and some of them can be slightly out of reach, but then you also need to write down ones that within your abilities and capabilities you can achieve. And that's also where the personal goals come into play for me, which are not metric driven. They are not performance driven. They are not based on how the event goes or how I perform in one event or another or across a weekend. They're things that I want to do for myself and for others on the more human level. So like for Rally, it was smile. So like and that goal primarily was written down because of the deadlift ladder, because I knew that event wasn't going to be good for me and I was going to be pissed off because I'm a competitor. I'm competitive. And to go into an event that you're not confident in and you know that you're not going to do well in, it's hard to just be like all happy jolly all the time. Yep. But I wanted to keep a smile on my face and be present in the moment. So during the deadlift ladder, I performed, I did my thing, I did the best that I could. And then I found the smile and the happiness in watching Kelly hit a lifetime PR and then watching Joe move 405 and seeing like Kev run through the first couple barbells and like picking up my happiness from them. Because I knew for me, that event wasn't going to be wonderful.
Right.
So that's a simple goal that you can check off with all you have to do is be conscious and be present, and you can check that goal off.
Mm-hmm.
Or the other one about like just being a good teammate, like bringing effort, bringing energy, bringing encouragement, because we went with a group of people. So there was 6 of us there. So even if I'm having a poor event or a poor day, that doesn't mean that I need to project that onto other people, especially my friends who are also competing. So go compete, do your thing, good, bad, ugly, in the middle, indifferent. Your energy for them needs to remain the same. And for me, it's like, I want to see them do well, and I want to see them like thrive and be achieving their own goals. So even if I'm having a poor day or an event doesn't go the way I want it to project that onto them when they're also in the competitive environment and trying to achieve their own set of goals is, again, just like not what I want to do, but also doesn't consider anybody else but myself. And that's something I don't want. Like, I don't want to do. I don't want to be that guy. I also don't want to be, I don't want to be the Debbie Downer. I don't want to be the mood killer. So I can have an event that goes bad. I can sit in my sulking for 5-10 minutes. I can throw a little temper tantrum and then move on with the rest of the event. Like, and I'll be open about it too. Like, I cried after my individual race at High Rocks Worlds. I did not have the race I wanted to. And because it was a big event for me and I was very emotionally invested in it and it did not go well, like I was with Joe afterwards and like, I just had a moment. I was emotional. I was frustrated and I shed some tears, and like, it was a real,
honestly,
like a real moment.
Sometimes you just need a little cry. I tell that to Mike all the time. I'm like, I just need a little cry. Give me 5 minutes. I'll pull it together. But like, you have to have those emotions.
Yeah. So I had my little cry, and within, I would say 20 minutes between having a little cry and also just having like a good conversation with Joe about kind of like what happened and what was going on in my brain and where my frustrations and emotions were coming from. After that, it was done. And then I had another race that weekend, so my entire focus shifted, and the moment happened. It was emotional. It was whatever it was, and then I moved on with it because Joe and Kelly were racing the next day, and then Joe and I were racing the day after that. So if I carried that poor attitude or that sadness or those emotions throughout the entire weekend, that not only makes my experience bad, but then starts to project that onto the other people that I'm with.
Right.
So it's like, you have your moment, you have your emotions, you let them run their course, but after that you need to kind of flip the script and keep moving forward. So that was another one of my goals for the weekend, was like, bring the encouragement, bring the energy, bring the joy for my teammates and for my friends that are also competing, because it's not just about me. It's not always about me. You know,
right.
Like there are points throughout the weekend that you're going to be inherently selfish, where if you're warming up, you don't want to be bothered. If you're in the middle of competing, you don't want to be bothered. Like,
right.
And those are your selfish moments. But once you finish an event, if you're with a group of people or if you have friends that are also competing, it costs nothing to then go and fully cheer for them and bring your whole like energy and your whole heart into what they're doing, because you're done already. You're not going to change the past. It's over. So did it suck? Absolutely. Was it ideal? No. But like, that is the past, and you can have your moment and you can let your emotions run their course. But there are also opportunities to then bring more to the table and like show up for someone else. And that was another one of my goals. So like, that's something that, again, with being a little bit more intentional, being aware of my situation and being conscious, like I can achieve that in a weekend. So the personal goals kind of give me that ability to check off the boxes and that sense of accomplishment, even if the race specific goals and the metric driven ones don't go to plan. Another thing that I do is I like to have like small goals within the big goals.
Okay.
So in my race goals in my event goals for rally, like the overall one was to compete in the top 8 workout, but then I had one specifically for a hinge pin. I had one specifically for the trail run. I had one specifically for shallow grave, where even if I don't wind up finishing in the top 8 or competing in the top 8 workout, I could still achieve the little ones along the way.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like an all or nothing kind of mindset, which I also think helps with that sense of accomplishment and being able to check off the boxes as you go.
No, I love that. And listening to you speak, I'm just thinking like, yes, like winning is important and like you are competitive and you want to win and you want to do well, but like also like thinking like what kind of lasting impact am I going to have on those around me if I bring the energy, if I bring the effort, if I bring the encouragement. Was that the 30?
Yeah. Yep. That's the 30. Yeah.
And like
that's 100% true. I was just going to say that's 100% true. And impact kind of across the board, I think, has been something that I have kept near and dear to my heart and also have learned through the community that I'm in. Like, I would say that prior to finding Underdog, I didn't fully understand what community and like camaraderie and impact was to the level in which I feel that now on so many different fronts.
Mm-hmm.
So showing up for them is just as important as showing up for me. Like, and that's not just like a rah-rah kind of thing where like, oh, we're a team, so we need to be like we need to have a team dynamic or we need to be teammates all the time. It's like these people have impacted my life in so many different ways, both within and outside of the fitness space, that showing up for them is equally, if not more important than showing up for myself, because I care about them like on a much deeper level than just like we wear the Finley jersey when we race. Like,
right.
So having that impact, the way that they've impacted me and the way that I can potentially impact them, it's a two-way street. So showing up for them is something I like pour my whole heart into and try to each and every event. And again, like just like kind of anything else, like I'm a human at the end of the day. So there are definitely events that doesn't happen. And like I've had my events that have gone poorly and I have not been in a good mood. So instead of sticking around and trying to be there, I've removed myself from the venue or left the event because I knew that my attitude and my demeanor and the way that I was feeling wasn't going to serve anybody. Mm-hmm. So rather than hanging around the venue and just moping around and being pissed off and projecting all of my feelings onto others, it's like the best thing for me to do in this situation is to remove myself. So does it mean I'm going to miss somebody's race? Yes. Does it mean that I can't be on the sidelines to cheer for somebody? Yes. But knowing that I wouldn't be able to bring that energy and bring that, like that wholeheartedly is not what I want to do. So if I can't do that for them, then the better thing for me to do is to remove myself from it, because I know that my emotions and my feelings are just like, I'm not in a good enough spot to be able to bring that. And if I can't, then I'll more than likely project more negative than I will positive. Mm-hmm. And that's the last thing that I want to do. Right. Like I don't want them to feel sorry for me that my race didn't go well and that it impacts theirs, or that they're thinking about that going into their race rather than preparing themselves for what they're about to do, or vice versa. So it's like, if I do need to remove myself, like I do, and I'm not necessarily there for every single race that everybody does, and that's also okay. But if I can have like a quicker turnaround and put my emotions and feelings to the side after I've had my moment and then show up as a different person to hopefully impact somebody positively, that's something I try to do each and every time I can.
Absolutely. But it's also like that fine line of like knowing when you need to walk away. Like, and it seems like you're very like introspective when you're like,
yeah,
it sounds like
self thoughts. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is incredible considering, you know, you said you're just a baby. So
I'm just a child. Yeah.
Just a child. Yeah. So those are all the questions I had for you. Do you have any sponsors? Anybody you'd like to thank? Anybody you'd like to shout out? I feel like we've done a lot of name dropping this episode, so feel free to continue that.
Continue the name dropping. I mean, of course, first and foremost is Underdog Fitness as a collective, as a whole. So Kevin and Jess at the top, and that goes down as deep as think we have 53 athletes this year.
Wow.
So we've got a squad. So of course, shout out to each and every one of them. Like I've said a bunch during this podcast, but also in pretty much a ton of different areas. Like the community and the camaraderie and the impact that they all have is like so incredible, and it keeps me moving. Of course, shout out to Joe, Kelly, and Kevin for also competing at rally and going through that demanding weekend and doing really well. So of course, shout out to them, and they made the rally weekend experience fun in the surrounding elements as well. Like we just spent the whole weekend laughing and just like hanging out. So yeah, it was an awesome weekend to spend with them. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Those are all the people I got to thank.
Okay, perfect. And then what are we manifesting? So we're manifesting silver bib for you. 75
We're
miles.
manifesting silver bib. We're manifesting being able to complete an 100-miler. And we're manifesting qualifying for High Rocks Worlds again.
I love that.
Those are my manifestations.
Perfect. No, I think that's perfect. And then one last question. You live in Long Island. I grew up in Northern New Jersey. Favorite Billy Joel song?
Oh, I mean, is it too cliche to say Piano Man? Or do I need to expand somewhere further than that? Because Vienna is also a very good song.
Vienna is my all-time favorite Billy Joel song.
Okay. I would say Piano Man and Vienna are probably like the general consensus 1-2 just because they're iconic.
Yep.
Another like sleeper pick is like Only the Good Die Young.
Great song.
I think that's a great song. I don't think it's renowned as like everybody's favorite, but a good one. And then also Moving Out.
Yes.
Anthony's song.
Yes.
Banger. Classic.
Yep.
So
I have
those would be my list. My Mount Rushmore of Billy Joel songs.
I love that. I have a secret. I'm learning. I bought a harmonica and I'm trying to learn Piano Man on the harmonica.
Incredible. When you learn it, please send me like a voice note or a voice memo.
It is so hard.
I can only imagine. People who can actually play instruments are incredible to me because I have zero musical talent.
I also have zero musical talent. Like, it's just, I have the harmonica and I like have the notes, but it's like, you can't see the notes on the harmonica. So as you're playing, you're like, wait, 6, 7, it's like.
Yeah, it's a challenge. My musical talent expands as far as just being able to like retain song lyrics well.
Okay.
But other than that, like I can't sing. I can't play any instruments. I don't know how to read music. I don't know, like sheet music. I have no idea. It looks like hieroglyphics. So I have no musical talent. So I give you credit for picking one up and trying to learn. Like I was one of those kids in school. Like I'm not too sure how the school systems work in Jersey, but at least for me and like on Long Island, it seems like you kind of get pushed one way or the other in high school. It's like you either go the band orchestra route or you do like another like gen ed kind of class.
Yep.
I was on the side of like I did like music theory or like general music or whatever it was called because I did not want to play an instrument and I knew I couldn't do it and I didn't want to embarrass myself. So I didn't play an instrument in high school because
nope.
I couldn't do it.
I also have a really hard time like keeping a beat. So it's like I'm playing the harmonica and it'll like count for like the YouTube video will like count for you. And then I'm like, oh wait, no, it's just my goal. Maybe we'll see if I ever get there.
Manifesting that for you. And when you do get there, I would love like a voice note.
We can do a little sing along.
100%. I'm so in. I'll be the background vocals.
Perfect.
Bar crawl at World Toughest Mudder 2026. You're playing the harmonica. I'm singing Billy Joel.
You and your silver bib. I'll be in a brown bib. So that is what we will manifest.
Let's make it happen. I'm so in.
Perfect. Well, AJ,
incredible.
That is all I have for you. Thank you so much for spending over 2 hours talking to me. I like to yap. You like to yap. So I feel like it was perfect.
It was perfect.
Welcome back.
Thank you, AJ, for taking the time to come on the show. Previous to this, I only really knew about the event from Kelly Sullivan, who I know has gone in the past too. So yeah, looking forward to listening to the rest of the interview.
Kelly Sullivan was there.
Joe Rucco, Kevin Gregory,
Joe Rucco.
I think the Maraglia brothers were there.
It's a huge turnout.
Yeah.
And they cap it. So Melissa Linden was there.
Oh, she was?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Love that. For related episodes, I figured the Grit Games are somewhat similar, so I put episode 345, Chris Rogloski on winning the Grit Games, 346, Austin Azar on Grit Games, Spartan 3K, World's Toughest Mudder, and Rubik's Cube. And the last two episodes that we've had AJ on were episode 379, Deca Mile live coverage at Underdog Fitness, and episode 444, World's Toughest Mudder 2025, Part 2, Event Day Audio, Interviews, and Katelyn's Pit Audio.
We talked about my pit audio.
Oh, did you?
I also learned if you go to Underdog Fitness's website and you click on the athlete tabs, if you scroll down and click on individual people, it will show you podcast episodes that they're in.
It's a very nice page.
Yeah.
And I love that we're featured. Hey, maybe this episode will be on there too.
He said we were heavily featured.
Yeah, I mean, that means a lot because we do a lot to try to highlight athletes, not just with Underdog, although I have a particular liking to those athletes, but everybody. And we try real hard.
Yeah. If you like what you heard, subscribe and follow on all of the social medias. And by all of them, I mean to Instagram and Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and subscribe and follow to our podcast on podcast players.
This is what happens when we go a week and a half without recording.
You'd think after how many episodes? 350, I would...
Try 450.
450, I would be better at this. Leave us a review on the Purple Podcast app and follow us on social media on Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah, you can support us over on Patreon. It is my understanding that they're redoing the website and making it more better. And yeah, we do have, not to pat ourselves on the back, but I'm going to pat ourselves on the back and say that we have the best Patreon perks for any OCR podcast out there.
Ooh.
Which isn't saying as much because there's not many OCR podcasts out there anymore. But yeah, we do a lot.
If this was a last man standing race, we would be the last men standing.
Soon.
Women.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. Yeah.
Coworkers.
Mm-hmm.
Can I call us coworkers? Is that weird?
Well, Carlo did, and I love that. Coming up next, a book interview, maybe the end of the ORM podcast, maybe something else. It's also Trifecta World Championships. I should probably say it here now. I will not be going. The plan was to go, but due to a few reasons, I will no longer be making that trip to West Virginia, which is kind of a bummer, but yeah, we'll see how that goes. Maybe we'll do an episode on that. Katelyn, got a joke or a quote to close us out?
I do. My joke is, how did the hairdresser win the race?
By a hair tie?
They took a
hair tie? Shortcut, there it is.
And my quote is, you're not a machine, you're a soul who needs music, connection, sunsets, laughter, and small pockets of joy. Prioritize them like your life depends on it, because it does. Life isn't meant to be a cycle of stress and survival. Pause, look up, let the sunset remind you you're here to live, not to hustle. Life is not a to-do list, it's a gift. Walk slower, hug longer, laugh louder.
I can't help but think that one was pointed directly at me. But that just about wraps it up. My name is Michael Stefano.
And my name is Katelyn Ritter.
We will talk to you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening.
We hope you're feeling motivated, inspired,
And ready to take on your next race or training run.
If you've enjoyed this week's episode, leave us a review
and share it with your fellow adventurous friends.
Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Obstacle Running Adventures.
Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode.
Join us every week for more news,
Stories and interviews from the community.
Our intro song was Streaker by Straight Up.
And our outro music is Iron Paw by The Best.
Perfect. Well, I will let you go. This will probably be up within either tonight or tomorrow based on whenever Mike gets home. And
Wonderful.
He will be doing all the editing. So
He's going to love opening up the file and seeing like 2 hours and 20 minutes. He's going to be like, what did you guys fucking talk about?
And he'll jump to the end because he'll like click through to make sure it's like, okay. And he'll just hear me and you talking about the harmonica.
Yeah, and Billy Joel.
Yeah.
I can't wait for the reaction. Hopefully he at least laughs. And hopefully he keeps the Billy Joel part in.
Oh, he absolutely will.
Well, if the shoe fits, Mikey do.
Mm-hmm.
The shoe fits. Okay, I'm gonna go shower.
Okay.